And I think we're live.
We did it.
Well, welcome to There Will Be Spoilers, the show which is filled with spoilers in case the name isn't a dead giveaway, and is also always late.
We are finally here.
Yes, we're not only 13 minutes late, but we're, I think, 3 or 4 weeks late because
2 weeks late. Technically, I bumped it twice, so that week is 2 weeks late. Very sorry.
It is Anon's fault. She was so impressed with Double Down last time that she hasn't watched anything but Double Down for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Would actually want to kill myself. No.
And was not able to watch the 2 movies that we're reviewing today until Biggs forced her to.
Yeah, you know what? I'm Neil Breen's biggest fan. I just would like to number one fan him Misery style.
Oh yeah, you just want to love him to death.
I do.
Yeah.
If I hobble him, he won't be able to make any movies anymore.
He will.
He'd make a movie about
it. I was gonna say he might just crawl around the desert with a camera.
He did that in Double Down.
Yeah,
he did too. Shit, he doesn't need feet for that. I'll have to remove his thumbs. Then he won't be able to smash the keys anymore.
He'll play a character named Beal Nreen, who is godlike despite his hobbled feet, and chooses chooses to keep them instead of healing them with his mind to make everything more of a challenge for himself.
No, he has a magic rock. It's not his mind. There's a magic rock.
Oh wow!
Yes, the magic rock. And we have 2 movies today. Neither of which has a magic rock, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah, every movie needs a magic rock.
Yeah, at least one.
Well, they're failures. They'll never live up to the iconic status of Double Down, but here we are.
The visionary that is Neil Breen.
We can try.
So what one should we start with?
Definitely Ravenous, for sure.
Okay. I love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess what my favorite thing is about this movie? There's a lot to like.
Well, I mean, we might guess right away. I personally love the music score.
Bingo! You got it.
I love it.
Yeah. I was gonna say, can we gush about the music because it's so fun?
We can. We
can.
The music, the good music. Starts right away, immediately.
And that's saying a lot because great acting, great story, well directed.
Yeah, solid performances throughout. Everybody.
Pedigree. It has a good pedigree. There's some great actors in this movie.
But the music really stood out to me. It's not something I'd really just put a CD on and listen to in the background, but in the context of the movie, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's not really what I think of when I think of a movie loosely based on the Donner Party, but it works.
Oh yeah. And I mean, anything with Jeffrey
describe the music, folk, I guess.
Yes, very folky.
Yeah, kitschy folk. Yeah.
Great.
And it really creates the atmosphere and builds.
It does.
I've often said before, I think music can be overused in movies. I don't think you need music consistently right throughout the movie, and often silence is a much better thing to build atmosphere, depending on the movie, of course. But this is a good example of music being well used and really building tension and atmosphere at certain points.
The score plays through about 80% of the movie. And it actually works. We were complaining about that, I think, a couple episodes ago, and then here we are gushing about it.
Well, it really depends on the movie. Yeah. Sometimes silence works much better, but sometimes music does. But it has to be the right type of music too.
This music fits. It's like it must have been made for it.
Coincidentally, it was.
Yeah. I killed everything.
So apart from music, what do we like about this movie?
I love the atmosphere. It's different because it takes itself just seriously enough, and it's still funny.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is a black comedy.
Yeah,
it is the blackest of comedy.
But it's
Yeah,
not.
it's not a lot of laughs in it, I have to say, but it doesn't take itself too serious at the same time.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't, and you can see that with the opening quote of the movie, which is
Yeah.
Nietzsche's famous quote: "He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster." There's more to that quote than that, just a little, which is, I can't remember what work of his it's taken from, but that's advice that anybody should take to heart. And then another quote comes along on the bottom that says, "Eat me, Anonymous." I love it, and it just comes in from the side in such a whimsical way.
Yeah.
Like it with the it's amazing. It really sets the tone for the whole movie within the first 10 seconds, and it just works as a black comedy horror film.
Because I wouldn't call it. It's not like a horror comedy. It's not.
No, it's not.
like,
It's like I said, it's the blackest of comedy. Like it's so.
I'm trying to find something a little more mainstream to compare it to, because I wouldn't go so far as to compare it to, say, Bride of Chucky, which is like very funny.
No. Don Mancini turned that into a horror comedy.
Yeah.
Awesome effect, I think, but it's not the same type of film.
No,
it's not as tongue in cheek as, say, something like From Beyond, which is very campy. This is more hard edge, but it's not 100% serious at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of it takes the piss a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Just because it can. And
so should we tell the audience what it's about in case they haven't seen it? If you haven't seen it, why are you watching this? Because
it'll be
filled with spoilers. So
yeah, and it is worth seeing for sure. Well, I'll just hit that right now. It's a movie that, well, I'll talk just a little bit more about it first.
Well, it's a love story about a man and food, I think.
Oh yeah, who doesn't love food?
Yeah, filled with awkward licking and.
Yes, there is a bit of licking in it.
Well, we have our fabulous
we
have a war hero, which, I mean, that appeals to every American everywhere.
Well, is he a war hero though?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, not according to his superior officers, but
sarcasm aside, I actually don't think what he did was that bad. I think when it came down to it, he won that particular facet of this war for them. So
he did, but in the military's eyes, he did it through
cowardice.
Cowardice, and it's not becoming of them to publicly execute or well, they did kind of excommunicate him in a way, but it's not appropriate to kill him or court-martial him because
that's what they were planning on doing. They were going to court-martial him. So maybe we should explain what Captain Boyd did, because this is all the beginning of the movie. It's him getting honors for something that he achieved through cowardice.
That's right. Okay,
so we see a bit of a flashback later on, which explains.
Exactly, we do, yeah. So
we don't learn right up the front. It takes a while to get to that.
It does. It's based in the 1840s in the Mexican-American War, I guess.
Yeah.
I actually don't know too much about that.
It still doesn't matter. Basically, he's getting this big old dinner in his honor, and they tell him, one of his superior officers informs him that it would be rather not good for their image to court-martial a war hero. So instead, they send him out into the middle of nowhere at a small, what would you call that?
Middle of nowhere fort, basically.
Yeah,
it's a fort or like a small enclave or something. Yeah.
Bumfuck nowhere land.
Yeah. Yep. In the northern mountains of California, very cold almost all year, probably 8 months out of the year.
Let me put it this way: if they had a base in Antarctica at the time, they would have sent him there.
Yeah, that's right. No flamethrower either.
No,
you're on your own, pal.
Hey, no, those are illegal. So are huskies.
Yeah. Well, he wouldn't have even had huskies.
Yeah, no, it was totally illegal. Can't have that.
The 1840s is apparently. Why wouldn't he? He might have had huskies. The 1840s, in my mind, is apparently a time before huskies. I don't know why I said that.
Huskies first landed on Earth in 1890, I think.
Yeah.
Somebody actually corrected me in the comments of that, and I had to concede that you were correct. They wouldn't have been allowed huskies, but so I don't give a shit.
However, somebody else corrected us on that first episode too, the pilot. They would have had flamethrowers.
I mean, absolutely. Who
Yeah.
wouldn't?
Although I can't remember what it was. I saw a recent review of The Thing, and someone said that they wouldn't have had flamethrowers. So who knows?
Mhm.
Probably you watching yourself.
No, I think it might have been top tens. I watched that top tens thing.
Oh,
I think
you watched the trashiest of trashy.
I think they did.
I think they're pretty trashy, but I like top 10 videos myself.
Oh no,
I bad
you
mouth
too?
them, but-
Oh god, he was always trying to get me to watch them, and I watched like a couple minutes of it. I feel my brain leaking out my ears.
I think they were doing the top 10 plot holes in sci-fi movies, and I think they said something about flamethrowers in The Thing.
The Huskies are such a way bigger plot hole than that.
But their number one plot hole was Dune, in which it was amazing. I'm actually going to put this in a video and do a response to it sometime in the future. But they refer to Paul Atreides as Paul Atreides. They refer to his mother Jessica as Julia.
Wow.
And they say that the weeding devices they had, the special guns, they say that's a plot hole because there's no way that the Fremen would know how to build them. Despite the fact that Yui left the plans for Paul.
Yeah. Well, that's a mess, isn't it?
Yeah, that was their number one. So yeah.
Yeah, that's how much stock you can put in that top 10 video.
That whole channel's like that. Why?
Yeah.
You guys, come on. Everybody
the
has
bunker in me likes watching stuff like that. So But anyway, back to the movie. The characters sent off to bumfuck nowhere, basically.
Yep.
It's a fort with what, 6 people in it, I think.
Yes, we get introduced to everybody pretty much right away.
The introduction is fantastic too. That's a highlight of the movie for me.
So we have Martha and George, which are the Native Americans who are helping them. I believe those are their names. I'm going to try.
Martha and George, yeah, they're brother and sister. It's implied, and well, no, it's more than implied. They are.
So we have Colonel Hart, which is Jeffrey Jones, who's always hilarious.
Yeah.
The drunk guy whose name I actually can't remember.
David Arquette. Oh no, that's not David Arquette. I'm sorry. That's the high guy.
Yes,
I forget
it's Private Cleaves.
Private Cleaves.
Private Cleaves, who's actually like just stoned out of his gourd.
Yeah, on loco weed.
Yeah, just stoned out of his gourd.
And why would you be if you were sent to a place like that?
All you have to do, and the natives are giving it to him for free. I'd be stoned out of my gourd too.
Oh yeah, he's smoking it with George probably for most of the time he's there. So.
Hell yeah.
I don't remember the doctor's name either, but he was apparently a veterinarian. So,
so they wouldn't have Netflix. You wouldn't have Netflix or 7-Eleven, but
so no Netflix and chill with Martha, but that's okay.
But better than nothing, I guess.
And then we have my favorite, Private Reich.
Is he the military guy?
He's the soldier.
He's the very blonde, very blue eye. I mean, the fact that they named him Private Reich is the best thing ever.
There's a little bit to that.
I don't know the actor's name, but I've seen him in like
Neil McDonough.
Yeah, he's in a few things. He's kind of like that canned Scream in movies. He just kind of shows up and you see him. And
I swear,
a lot of TV too.
Yeah,
Schmeckel wanted Master Anonymous to look like that guy. Like with a thick German accent. I think that's how he pictured you in his head forever.
Oh, like an Aryan god.
An Aryan god, and then you showed up and you're just very Canadian. So how disappointing.
Oh, I'm not that Canadian. I got some Minnesota in me there too. So anyway, that's gonna take over. I better stop.
Oh yeah, you'll do the whole show like that. Yeah. Everybody believe.
and then there's the God Botherer one. I can't think of the character's name.
In this one?
The religious one.
Yeah.
Oh Oh yes, the priest.
Soft-spoken Private Toffler.
Oh,
And that's another actor I've seen in like just hundreds of things, and I can't think of the guy's name. And he always plays almost exactly the same character.
Mm-hmm.
I love when he's writing the sonnet. It's it's really cute.
With the captain, is that when the captain tells him to go get some ice?
No, he's writing the sonnet in the tent, laying next to Calhoun.
Oh, a character that comes up later. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we'll.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Shocker.
I'm actually
there's
watching the scene where he's writing, in his words, a religious hymn.
Mm-hmm.
He's very soft spoken. You can barely hear
The
him.
whole scene is just really adorable. It makes me go, "Aw."
Yeah.
So he gets to this camp. There's fucking nobody there.
Oh, there's also the drunk doctor. Did we mention him?
Yes, we mentioned.
I did.
him.
Yeah, the veterinarian,
Yeah.
and the captain says, "My advice is don't get sick." In classic Jeffrey Jones delivery, it's great.
Which, I mean, why would you want to when the only doctor available is a veterinarian?
Who is drunk constantly? Who?
Yes.
I'll quote: "Never met a bottle he didn't like." So.
I mean, who has?
Yeah.
So, at this point, I think we get to our first evening where they're all having dinner, and somebody's outside. And Private Cleaves notices there's somebody outside, and somebody's out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so somebody's out the window, they all notice, and they all go on a hunt for this person outside, and they find a very frostbitten and near death
emaciated, bearded individual. Yep.
individual whose beard is very trim for somebody who's been wandering out in the wilderness. It's very
For 3 months, as we'll soon learn.
Yeah. So they start trying.
It's Robert Carlyle, though. He just does that through sheer force of will.
I
Who is
swear.
an amazing actor. I love Robert Carlyle.
He is amazing for
Does
sure.
his beard just grow like that? I feel like it does because
it could if he's Scottish, I guess.
It's exactly the same in every movie I see him in, except for now because he's older and it's now gray. But
whenever he has one, yeah,
it's perfectly pointed and perfectly sculpted, just all the time. Like you would think there might be a scene here and there where you go, it's a little uneven. No, never. That man never has a hair out of place. So I think it just grows like that, Joe Dirt style.
There you go.
Yes. So they strip him naked and put him next to the big fire in the kitchen and try to warm him up because
cover him with pelts.
He's obviously hypothermic and not conscious anymore. And when they finally rouse him, then I think it's the next day they finally actually.
It is the next morning. Private Toffler quietly and excitedly informs everybody that he's awake, including an awesome, hilarious scene where he tells the passed out drunk doctor that the frozen fellow is now awake. Of course, the doctor was already passed out when he showed up. He wasn't part of the.
Yeah, I don't think he even knows he's there yet.
No idea.
This is the first introduction to him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's a frozen person? Shit.
Yeah.
I'm hungover, but I'm awake.
Oh, he falls back asleep.
Does he even get up? I thought he got up. Oh, well, fuck. Don't get sick.
Yeah.
So we find out that this individual's name is Calhoun. I don't remember his first name, but I don't think it's important. And he recalls beard scratching.
He recalls beard scratching.
I can hear you scratching your face. It was very loud.
Sorry.
That just took over everything, didn't it?
So he recalled beard scratching, and then
he also ate people.
in a non-sexual way that we know of. At least.
Well, yeah.
He's supposed to be getting catered across country by a Colonel Ives and a band of people, himself included. And they get lost going through a shortcut. Apparently Ives knows very well, but apparently he fucking doesn't. and they get incredibly lost and stranded up in the California mountains, and they take shelter in a cave. And soon they run out of food, and they start eating the oxen and the horses, and eventually
That lasts them a month or two, he says.
Yeah. And the snows don't stop, and everybody's getting hungry. And I think the first person dies of natural causes, probably starvation.
Yeah.
And he claims to go into the woods and to be gathering firewood and other supplies, and comes back to them cooking this.
His legs.
Yes, his legs. And he says, I admit it, I smelled cooking meat and I was salivating.
Yeah, I thank the Lord, he said.
Yeah, that's right. And so they cannibalized everybody, one after the other, and he claims that Colonel Ives is insane with a lust for human flesh and has been systematically killing all of the men in this band until only himself, Colonel Ives, and a woman remained. I cannot remember her name.
Mrs. McCready.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Oh, no. He's probably going to be okay. But he didn't think so. So he decided he would rather take his chances out in the woods, wandering, than get murdered and eaten. And that's when he stumbled across their camp and tells everybody there that he believes Colonel Ives and Mrs. McCready are still in the cave. Now, of course, this is their job, and Colonel Hart, Mr. Jeffrey Jones, decides that they must investigate it as their duty.
Yeah.
So we have the priest, Private Reich, John Boyd, Calhoun, Toffler, and George. Right. So there's 6 out of the, what were there?
Martha and the doctor stay behind.
So there's only 2 of them.
And
aren't they off on a mission to get food or something, supplies?
Actually, yeah, no. David Arquette and Martha are gone.
Yeah.
Private Cleves.
They're not there when the bearded guy turns up. When Robert Carlyle turns up.
Yeah, they're there.
No, they're not.
Yeah, Private Cleves discovers him outside.
Yeah, and then the next day,
and then they're gone. Like they're gone before he wakes up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they don't get a good look at him. That's kind of important to the story.
Yeah, the next morning they're gone, and that's when he wakes up. So, anyways, the 6 of them take off for this cave, and this is where we get to that scene where I can't skip over him falling off the side of the cliff first.
Oh, Toffler, yeah.
Private Toffler takes a tumble.
He finds a bone, and he's super quiet and excited about that too.
Yeah.
It looks like a femur or something.
But he goes all tumbling off the side of a mountain, gets down about halfway, gashes himself in the ribs pretty good. So obviously they have to stop for the evening, and they wrap him up and tend to his wounds. And then whilst laying in the tent, he's writing his religious hymn.
Can I stop you for 1 second?
Yeah.
We will get back to that, but I should mention that George, the Native American fellow, he mentions the Wendigo myth before they leave, and gives Colonel Hart I think he gave it to Colonel Hart a cloth.
No, it's Boyd.
It's Boyd. Okay.
The cloth and tells him about that.
Yeah, with a painting, an ink painting of this Wendigo creature that apparently in Native American myth in that part of the world, or that part of the continent rather, when a man consumes the flesh of another man, he becomes insatiable and wanton for more.
Ravenous,
even.
Ravenous, yeah.
And powerful.
That'd be a good name for a movie.
Yeah, you should write one. All right, so Toffler's writing his little religious hymn, and he's stuck on a rhyme, which I don't know if it irritates Calhoun at all, but the way he helps him is really cute.
He's just laying there on his back with his hat over his head.
Yep.
And
And he
Toffler
gives
is
him his word.
Yeah.
The rhyme for one part of his hymn, and he's very excited about it, which is it's almost childlike. I think that's probably why I find it so adorable.
Mm-hmm.
He's just very excited. And
yeah, that scene stands out.
well, that goes away fast because in the middle of the night, Calhoun is licking his open wound on his ribs.
Mm-hmm. And Toffler finds
You say
his
that,
voice.
You say that
evening.
like it's weird.
Yeah.
That's a normal thing to do, right? Dogs do it. Why don't people?
Yeah. Well, Toffler definitely finds his big boy voice.
Oh yeah. Well, he does when he demands whiskey while they're cleaning him up too.
Yes, that's true. Bourbon now.
Yeah, bourbon now.
Just on the whole licking thing, I remember seeing an very old black and white movie with a very, very young Ginger Rogers in it, where she played I think it was like a 15 or 16-year-old girl, and she was on her way home and she was talking to the male star, who I think was around 20, and she said something like, I can't be late. I have to get home. Otherwise, my pa will give me a good licking. And I thought, yeah, that maybe didn't age too well.
No, that's still something. That's still a phrase here.
Yeah, it could be interpreted differently these days.
Yes,
Right?
well, not over here, you filthy pig. Fucking Australians making everything dirty all the time. Jesus.
Well, it's not a common term used in the way that she meant it these days, though. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
So yeah,
it is. So, what are you talking about? It's just
so anyway, yeah, he was getting a bit of a licking, but
he wasn't whipping him.
He's none too pleased about the licking. So
Yeah.
I don't blame him. Someone crawls in your tent and
Calhoun tries to explain it as he was having a nightmare and his lips just ended up on his wound. But he does request to be very likely. He does request to be restrained.
Yep. And you know what? At that point, I thought maybe the nightmare could have been true because he did spend 3 months trapped in a cave with fucking cannibals. So maybe, possibly. Although I don't think anybody's gonna be shocked about the fact that
not. I don't think so. I think just shortly after that they do arrive at the cave.
The next morning they arrive at the cave and he has a full-blown panic attack, which you would expect from somebody who spent 3 months trapped in a cave with cannibals.
Yeah.
And he goes, I can't go in. Ah! So they leave him outside with George, Toffler, and
Colonel Hart,
who commands Boyd and Reich to go in, and Boyd doesn't want to go. He goes, we need soldiers to go in, which you would think, So
he says he needs an officer in there, and I guess he outranks Reich. So
actually, he does. Yes, yes, that was pointed out. So yes, Private Reich.
I think we should point something out about the lead character, though. We do get glimpses of his backstory, apart from the Medal of Honor
and what happened.
Yeah, and the cowardice thing. It does insinuate that maybe he's eaten human flesh before.
It does.
Actually, but no, he's explained this. He explained the whole story except for that little tiny bit to Hart, one of his first days there. He asked him about it. We kind of glazed over that.
Yeah, but the point is in that flashback we see blood running into Boyd's mouth as he's buried under a wagon full of bodies, and that's in the opening scene with the very rare steaks that all the officers are eating.
Yes. So okay, let's go through.
And he does mention that he was invigorated or something when he charged the.
Yeah, he felt when they were interrogating him about the event, he said, "I felt changed."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we should go over what we know of Boyd's backstory up until this point. Is that he was in a squeamish something some military
Squeamish.
squeamish.
It was a bit squeamish.
What's a bit squeamish for him?
A skirmish, you think?
Yeah.
Thank you.
A squeamish skirmish, I think is a good way to describe it.
There you go.
I was so close. So he plays dead whilst his entire company is killed around him.
Yeah, he's clearly got shell shock.
Yeah, he freezes and just kind of goes down to his knees and lays down. Yeah.
He doesn't even properly play dead. He just kind of very slowly lays down and just lays there.
Well, he shuts off. I don't think he's playing dead. I think he literally shuts off because he's just overwhelmed by the killing around him.
Yeah, he goes into shock, basically. I would say that's a fair assessment. And he gets thrown into this big wagon full of bodies, which then gets dragged back to the Mexican camp, where he comes to and proceeds to slaughter enough of them for the Americans to come in and take over the fort, which is why they couldn't he couldn't exactly be court-martialed because technically he was a hero.
Mm-hmm.
However, the way he got there was by playing dead.
Yes, as the rest of his company died.
Yes. See, now, if you ask me, I think he did the smart thing, especially if he had noticed that they were losing and went, "Oh shit! If I play dead, maybe I can do something." But that wasn't the case. He went into shock and just sort of gave up.
Yeah, absolute shell shock. I think he was expecting to die if he had any real thoughts in his head at all.
I'd hesitate to call that cowardice because I don't think he was in control so much.
Sure, but he feels it was. So.
Yes, he definitely feels guilt over it. I don't think anybody wouldn't.
No, that's some pretty intense survivor's guilt. I think he would have.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you have to realize, and I don't agree with this, but the higher ups have to, force people into battle, right? Mm-hmm. Even if they're into have shell shock or whatever, otherwise no one would be going into battle. Half of them would be claiming to have shell shock or whatever.
Yeah, yes. He was
so taking in context of the time and the situation, I think it's understandable that his superiors would call him a coward.
I think so too, but as the viewer, at the same time, Boyd isn't an unlikable man.
No. You have sympathy for him.
Also,
yeah, he's only human after all. So
yeah. I think a lot of people in that situation would act exactly the same. I don't blame him at all. I don't think he's a coward. I think, if anything, he's a victim of the circumstances.
Absolutely.
He wasn't a superior officer at that point either. He was promoted after that.
He was promoted to lieutenant, but he was he was captain before that. Captain Boyd, as everybody was calling his name as he sunk to his knees.
He was Lieutenant Boyd. And
Lieutenant. Sorry, you're right. Absolutely.
He was Captain Boyd. He got a promotion for it because they felt the military felt they had no choice but to promote him for what he did after his great act of cowardice. So they thought the best thing for him and for them was to send him out into the middle of the nowhere where
they still got to punish him for it. I bet you they were very satisfied about that. So he got promoted but demoted at the same time.
So they've arrived at the cave and Boyd and Reich go in. Boyd does not want to go in. Reich is like right in there. He's ready to go. And they find a hole in the very back of this cave. Mm-hmm. And of course, Boyd's not going down this hole. How would you describe Reich's character? He's very eager.
He's very intense.
Yes.
And eager. I mean, during his introduction, he is standing waist deep in a freezing river, screaming at the top of his lungs.
Gung-ho.
Yeah.
He likes his war.
He does. He likes his job. I think it makes him feel good. And
He enjoys the military a lot.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't think he's a bad guy.
Oh
He's
no,
just
I think
super
I
intense.
like him. He's my favorite. It's very sad what happens to him. So he goes down this hole, and he yells up at Boyd. How many people did Calhoun say was in here?
I need to interject there for a moment too. This
Oh,
little moment between Boyd and Reich when
Yeah.
Boyd is unknowingly pointing his rifle right in Reich's face.
Oh yeah. And Reich goes, Boyd.
Yeah, excuse
Not
me.
point that at me.
And I like Boyd's response. It's just,
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah.
It's just a great little exchange.
And during this whole exchange, we're getting slight little cuts of Calhoun, who is having an absolute fucking meltdown outside of this cave, but it's changing in a sense to chanting and less frantic.
With the amazing musical score,
Yeah.
just towering over the whole scene. I should mention that the musical score kicks into high gear at this point and is so loud. It's actually louder than the dialogue. And it works.
It does. It's perfect for this scene because it really gets you in the...
It's an intense piece of music.
Because we were expecting to find two people in this cave, and so far there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And now Reich has gone down this hole, and he's counting the bodies.
The skeletons.
Yeah. And asking Boyd, how many people did he say was down here? Because they're all down here.
Yeah.
So there's one extra person. And
the bones are picked clean. Well, almost picked clean. There seems to be enough meat to hold the bones together.
that's about it. Of course there is. Dramatic effect. Come on.
Yes.
Reich wastes no time in figuring it out. He gets it right away, and
they're out of there. But
he screams, "It's a trap!" And he that, as we find out, that Calhoun is in fact Ives.
Well, no, we don't find that out until quite a bit later.
Well, I know.
Spoilers!
Yeah, spoilers. Sorry.
So Calhoun at this point has broken free of his binds and starts killing everybody, and he's very, very effective at it.
He grabs a knife which he had previously buried near the cave, and we see him digging at one point.
It takes him quite a few attempts, 2 or 3. He goes back and forth, and finally he calms down just before Reich and Boyd get out of the cave, and he just seems to calm down, and the panic leaves, and he just calmly grabs the knife. And
is it panic or excitement though?
It's feigned panic at first, and then it's bloodlust.
Oh yeah,
so excitement.
Very excited. So Hart's the first to catch it, and then
he gets gutted.
And then George also hits him with a tomahawk.
Mm-hmm.
And then Calhoun disarms Hart, proceeds to shoot George because Toffler is, of course, standing dumbfounded with his rifle. Being the religious individual. Being Toffler, yeah. If you watch the movie, you will understand what that means.
Yeah, pulling a Toffler is now a phrase.
When one falls down the side of a mountain, they've so pulled a Toffler.
Yeah.
And does he shoot Toffler right away?
No.
Yeah,
his gun misfires.
Yeah, he tries to shoot him, and he would have shot him dead, but this is when we see Calhoun's character change. He does a complete 180, and his line here is awesome when his gun misfires, and Toffler winces, obviously, and Calhoun simply says, "That's so annoying." and then the absolutely wonderful, I guess, almost theme song for the film kicks in, which is this almost happy, peppy bluegrass kind of Appalachian
it's so
mountain
out of place,
redneck theme.
So isn't. Yeah, it's like the best hillbilly music you ever heard.
Yeah, and you know what? It actually kind of fits in this strange black comedy kind of way. It's awesome.
Totally does. It totally does, because it just sets the tone for the movie. It's funny, but it's also really not at the same time. Like, and you feel bad for laughing at it.
And later on in that scene, that same piece of music morphs into this really intense, amazing piece of music.
Mm-hmm. So he kills Toffler and then books off into the woods, which is when Boyd and Reich come barreling out of the cave to find everybody dead. And Reich is pissed and wants to go and find Calhoun, but Boyd just wants to leave and go back to camp, which in hindsight might have been the smarter thing to do.
Mhm.
And that the plucky music is still playing all the way through all of this. It's so upbeat and weird with what's actually going on. So they go off on a manhunt. Reich practically drags Boyd. They go looking for him. They don't find him for a while until they're on a face of a sheer cliff straight down.
Mhm.
And Reich actually manages to shoot Calhoun, or is that Boyd? Yeah, that's Boyd after Reich takes the tumble off the cliff.
Yeah, and Boyd wants to run away again. I think you might have mentioned that, but
Yes, yeah, he wants to run away. Reich shoots at Calhoun a few times and misses every time, and that's when he ends up going flying off the cliff.
after getting a knife in the gut.
Yeah. And then Calhoun and Boyd are sort of having a Mexican standoff, haha. And Boyd shoots him in the shoulder, goes straight through him. He falls down, and then he's right back up. And the maniacal look on his face it makes me laugh every time.
And maniacal little laugh too.
Yes, he's got blood coming out of his mouth, and he's just really happy to be there.
Yeah.
And
that's a nitpick I find with a lot of movies. When somebody gets shot, they have blood coming out of their mouth. Why do they have blood coming out of their mouth?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Well, sometimes there are certainly internal injuries caused by the bullet, but in this case, it doesn't really make sense unless.
Yeah, but if you're shot in the gut, for example, right? How is the blood getting all the way up to your mouth?
Well, that actually makes sense.
I know it's done for visual effect. I know, but it's something that takes me out of movies sometimes.
If you get shot in your innards, in your stomach area, and you catch shrapnel there, it's not uncommon to cough or vomit a lot of it up, the blood.
Mm-hmm.
But he got shot in the shoulder.
The bullet is, so, yeah.
He got shot in the shoulder.
Yeah.
So it makes much less sense.
Maybe he bit his tongue though, so you know.
Well, if you assume maybe he's taken a bite out of Toffler.
That's possible too. Yeah.
Yeah, because they find Toffler with his guts hollowed out. So.
Yeah. So it's possible he took a nice fistful and ate a bunch before going off on a little jaunt in the woods.
Yeah.
So Boyd shoots him in the shoulder, and then he's up. And at this point, Boyd's like, "Oh fuck it, I'm out," and he jumps off of this cliff into the trees, which I've actually seen somebody do this, fall out of a 40-foot tree, and the branches slow you down enough that you don't die when you hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not all
I've heard stories about skydivers whose parachutes have failed. They've hit trees and somehow survived.
Yeah. The branches hit you and slow you down. But you have to have horseshoes up your ass.
Oh, for sure.
So,
yeah, I wouldn't want to try it. But
him surviving really isn't that far out of the realms of possibility. With
it's actually
very thick fir trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very possible. So he goes tumbling down, lands in a hole in the ground, which is sheltered by some trees. Mm-hmm. And is greeted by a hanging upside down Reich.
Well, Reich comes along later.
Not too much later. It's pretty much
on his tumble down the hill, he rolls over Reich.
Yeah.
And,
actually, yeah. Reich is sort of planted in the middle, and as they're rolling down the hill, he kind of takes Reich along for the ride again.
Yeah.
Because I think Reich's body probably would have just remained where it was if it wasn't disturbed. So he's in this hole, and Calhoun's fucking looking for him, and he doesn't find him. Luckily for him,
no.
I get
the feeling that he knew he was there, though. I don't know why. Later on in the movie, I just get the feeling.
That actually, considering the way the ending goes, is very possible. It might have been a test for him to see.
Yeah, it's basic because he's using his nose like a dog would.
Yeah.
Calhoun
and
is.
I think I think you're right. I think he knows he's there, and he leaves them there with that body on purpose.
Yeah.
So, Boyd has to now survive in this hole in the ground, but he's broken his leg, and when I say he's broken his leg, I mean the bone is popping out.
Yeah, his shin bone is sticking out pretty
It's
far.
out. It's gross. I hate it when movies do that. I don't like seeing bone. If I don't need to see that.
No.
No.
Well, there it is.
Yeah, it's very out there. Still, at least it wasn't a needle. So he's having lots of fun conversations with Reich down there, who's dead.
Mhm.
He's talking to him anyways, because you get lonely in a hole.
Well, as you would, yeah. And I guess there is this internal battle on inside Boyd's mind to eat him or not, and it finally comes out in a bit of a nervous breakdown.
He knows if he eats him, he'll live. He knows, and
He has
and
an
we
idea.
find out-
Yep.
Well, we find out why he knows, because when he was under all those bodies in that Mexican camp, he inadvertently swallowed a bunch of their blood.
Yeah, and he said he felt changed. Yeah.
It invigorated him. It energized him, which is why he was able to kill all those men and help them take the fort.
Yes.
And I don't think he was really aware of what was happening to him until he talked to George.
No,
So,
I don't think so. It was.
He eats Reich. We don't know how much of him he eats, but he eats enough.
He starts with the leg and goes from there.
Yep. So he makes his way back to camp, which it's Cleves, Martha, and what's the doctor? Drunken Doctor.
Yeah.
Drunken Doctor.
Mr. Bourbon.
Mr. Bourbon.
Dr. Bourbon.
Dr. Bourbon, yeah.
Dr. Bourbon.
That's doctor to you and me, yes.
And they're all very confused as to how the fuck he managed to get back alive and everybody else is dead. And I think he has a bit of a reputation, Boyd. I don't think his everything he did is a complete secret. I think everybody sort of knows that he played dead.
Yeah, well,
it's kind of the second time he's been the only survivor, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think it's starting to be suspect, but
yeah, they can't really prove anything, obviously.
No.
Yeah.
So, Cleves just mentions that he finds it odd that he's the only one that came back. A little bit later.
But I mean, he tells them about Calhoun and what he did, and they're all, okay, we believe you, because why would you lie? I guess. And then the heads of the military show up with a new colonel for the fort, because you can't have a fort with no colonel.
Not in the middle of nowhere. No,
of course not. It's really important.
Important stuff happens in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, Fort Bumfuck Doorland needs a colonel.
Yeah.
And this is when we're introduced to Colonel Ives. And if
Dun, dun, dun.
I was gonna say, if you've been listening or you've seen the movie, we find out that that's Calhoun, who actually, I think he told that story at the beginning very correctly about Colonel Ives, but it was him all along. So
yes, and we're all shocked.
Well,
it was a nice little surprise.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting to see Calhoun as a colonel. So, well, it was a little bit shocking, but of course, I mean, we know who he is. And Boyd is obviously very, very upset. And
which is not a surprise.
I mean, wouldn't you be? You see the guy that slaughtered everybody, and ate them. Yes, which you're very aware of.
Yes.
And nobody else seems to remember Private Cleves, Martha, and Dr. Dr. Bourbon don't fucking recognize him because they're all stupid.
Well, they didn't get a good look at him. So
Okay, Private Cleaves is the one that found him in the snow.
yeah, at night, and it was snowing.
They brought him inside and put him next to a very roaring fire.
He'd been out in the wilderness for 3 months. He looked a bit different.
Oh, yeah, he's plumped up from all the people he's eaten in the meantime.
He's a bit neater looking now, I think. So
He's slightly meatier.
your typical colonel doesn't look like he's just been let loose in the wilderness for 3 months.
He doesn't look so ravenous. So Boyd's going nuts, and everybody actually thinks he's nuts because nobody fucking recognizes Ives. And
they just think Boyd's a crazy person.
Yeah, which wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he's a crazy person, clearly. He killed
and
them all.
they try to prove, or Boyd tries to prove, that Calhoun is really the bad guy by saying, I shot him in the shoulder. And of course, when they look at the shoulder, it's healed.
Which, I mean, they dragged that scene out a little bit for me, just a tad, because we all knew the scar wasn't going to be there. We all knew.
Yeah. But I thought it was still a good scene.
It was good, but it was long.
Yeah, all 2 minutes of it was very long.
Feels long. Just like that Neil Breen movie felt like 10 hours long.
It was only 9.5. Come on.
Oh, God. So much of my life I'll never get back.
So have we told you the format's changing to nothing but Neil Breen from now on?
I quit.
Renaming the show.
I quit. I'm leaving. You guys can do it by yourselves. Because I know he's made more movies, too. You could probably fill at least 5 episodes with him. How many movies has he made, actually? I'm curious now.
I don't know, 5 or 6 maybe? I don't know.
I'm curious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Yeah. We will be doing one more Neil Breen eventually.
Oh my God,
please like don't. A year away. So
when that episode comes, I'm gonna be sick that day.
Well, I hope not, because it's going to be paired with a really, really good movie. So
I'll watch that one and be sick for the Neil Breen.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna get sick either for a little while at the beginning of the episode or the end, depending on when you want to talk about that one.
Just eat some human flesh in a cave and you'll be all right.
No. Come on. I like bacon. And I don't think it has the same effect.
Okay.
Very sidetracked.
Human bacon?
Well, apparently we taste like bacon.
Do we? I don't know. Okay.
Have you seen the guy that ate his wife's placenta?
I thought you were going to say something else there for a second. Start it with me.
Oh, come on. We're talking about cannibalism and you don't expect me to talk about the placenta? It's one of the first things I ever brought up.
Have you seen the guy that ate his wife's placenta?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've on a previous show years ago we talked about placenta eating. So
every show, every bar.
And the reason why they ate it was because they wanted to become Wendigos or Wendigos or however you pronounce it.
Widgy-digi.
According,
yeah.
All right, so we know that Ives is the bad guy. Boyd knows that Ives is the bad guy. Everybody else thinks he's insane. Mm-hmm. So Ives and Boyd are everything between the two of them after this is awesome. I don't even know what else to say. It's so entertaining to watch the two of them. Like Boyd is a bumbling buffoon trying to maneuver with a panther.
Yeah, Calhoun, or rather Ives, is very zen.
Yeah,
he has it all figured out, and
it's just it is. That's a great way to describe him, is zen. He's cool with being a cannibal.
Yeah,
and he would like to continue.
And he knows
Well,
exactly what Boyd is going through, and
Oh yeah.
but he explains a bit of his backstory too. That he was what illness did he have?
tuberculosis.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was very
uh,
sickly. He said he had many illnesses, but
yeah,
tuberculosis was the one that was.
major depression. He thought about suicide all the time.
Yeah.
But the tuberculosis, he takes a big drag of a cigar, and he says, a couple months ago or whenever, I couldn't do that. I'd cough up a pint of blood.
Yep. So
and then he heard about the legend of the Wendigo, and he thought, why not? I'll give it a try.
Yeah,
it was an accident.
And he was healed.
No, it was an accident.
An accident?
The first person he ate was not. It was not because he knew about the Wendigo.
It was. No, it was. It was the Indian scout who tells him.
Yeah,
and
the Indian scout told him, and then he ate him.
He ate the scout first, coincidentally.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't remember that. So it's not
Yeah,
like
he tells him.
remember things.
Yeah, he was so intrigued by this myth and legend that he.
All right. I always thought it was just he sort of stumbled on it by accident, but
he stumbled on the myth by accident, and then he's like, "Oh, okay, well."
I may as well see if you're telling me the truth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess if you're going to die, why not try anything, right? I guess some people would do that, and he kind of likes the invigorated feeling that it gives him.
I think he immediately feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Feels healthy, and
this is
almost superhuman. I guess he is superhuman.
Yeah, at this point, but he explains how and what order he ate them all in, and I think we're at that scene now. It's this little Speaking of Boyd and Ives' kind of relationship, Boyd when referring to Mrs. McCready and what's his face, did you eat her too? And Ives looks at him and goes, "Well, as a matter of fact."
Their dialogue is so fun. I mean, honestly, if you hate the movie and you don't want to sit through the whole thing, just watch the last 15 minutes. It's so much fun.
It is.
So, oh gosh, Ives kills Cleves first.
Mm-hmm.
And they find his body, and immediately Boyd gets blamed, and Dr. Bourbon locks him up.
The horses too.
Oh, and the horses, yes. Yeah. And Martha. My gosh, he kills a lot of people.
Martha finds Cleves and the horses.
Yes, and then she's gone pretty much.
She doesn't die, but
doesn't she?
No.
Oh no, right? Yeah, Ives actually sends her away to get reinforcements.
Yeah.
For soup.
Yeah, the colonel, I believe, or the commander.
For soup.
Yeah.
Eat soup. And Boyd's locked up. Ives is making some stew with Colonel Bourbon, Dr. Bourbon. And Boyd is puzzled how Ives could have killed all these people because he was with him the whole time. Mm-hmm. And this is when we discover that Colonel Hart is not dead.
No, and we find out that Colonel Hart has actually been doing all of the killing in the fort.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is a nice little surprise.
Yes.
It is.
Mm-hmm. It was unexpected.
Yeah, it's always nice to get a nice little surprise like that. I don't like movies which are too predictable.
No, I actually didn't see that coming upon first viewing at all. So it just seemed like Ives was doing all the killing, and Boyd, being as unglued as he is, was rightfully blamed for it, I guess, by the panicked people.
And he was just sort of out of it, so not really actually keeping tabs on Ives very well.
No.
So then Colonel Hart shows up, and it's like, oh, okay, everything makes sense now. And it seems like Ives and Hart are now in cahoots, haha, eating people because it feels awesome. So says Ives. And
Well, Colonel Hart's guts were basically ready to fall out, and
Yep.
yet here he is.
he fed him some Toffler. little Toffler. This is a pick me up.
Mhm.
Yes.
So, I think this is when shit basically hits the fan between Boyd and Ives, because, well, yeah, the Colonel shows up. I believe. Oh, this happened before, I guess. But
Yes, this happened. No, the Colonel shows up. Ives is there. Boyd and him have been going at it in private for a while. And then it's all out in the open. Everybody's dead. Martha's gone. They're having soup.
yeah,
And him, Boyd,
Human
and
soup.
human soup.
And that's going to be important for later on.
Hey,
So,
what do you call human soup? Stew.
aha.
Ah!
I don't know why you're cringing, Bane. That was an awesome dad joke.
yeah.
Well, I out dad joked you for once. Fuck you. Get on my level. Anyway, Ives would like Boyd to join him and Hart because it's lonely being a cannibal, as he says. And he lays out the fact that little fort gets a lot of travel in the coming months. They'll be able to stock up on travelers that are smaller and less noticeable.
Mhm.
And of course, Boyd wants none of this shit.
I like how Ives interjects with that is, we don't want to break up families now, do we?
Yeah.
so nonchalant about it.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. It's
And
a great script.
It's super fun. Anyways, he shoots Boyd in the guts because, how else do you convince a man to cannibalize? By, of course, shooting them. He puts a nice healthy helping of stew
In front of Boyd
in
and
front of
basically
Boyd.
says, eat or die.
We get nice, wonderful close-up shots of Colonel Hart and Ives eating this stew, and it's just
Well, isn't this civilized?
it's
As
another
he-
line
as he
right
suck-
over the movie.
Yeah, as he sucks in a piece of entrail. Isn't this civilized?
Delicious. And Boyd eats. Because,
He does.
I mean, I think, and you know what I think most people would? If you put the cure for cancer right in front of a person who had a foot in the grave, and it was like baby kittens or something,
Yeah.
most people would be like, give me that. I'll eat that if I'm not going to die.
Pretty much, and I think he might have had a little bit of an ulterior motive here, because he knows it works, and now he can maybe kill Ives. So,
So they lock him up in a watchtower, and subsequently feed him people. They feed him a little stew every day until he's got his strength back, and he asks Hart to let him go, and Hart goes, "Oh, can you be trusted?"
yeah, just let him get some fresh air, basically.
Yeah. So he's out wandering around with Colonel Hart, and they have a little discussion behind Ives' back, and Hart breaks down and says, "I can't live like this anymore. You have to stop him. And can you kill me?" Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one criticism I have of the movie is I thought his character changed too quickly.
Who?
The Colonel.
Hart or Ives?
Yeah, Hart.
I think Hart had reservations from the very beginning.
Yeah, I don't think.
But we didn't really see that though.
Well, that's the whole point. So we can't know it if it changed too fast or whatever.
Well, he could have been
Because
putting
we
on an
didn't
act.
see it. So
We never saw him away from Ives until this point.
No.
So there's no way to know if there
that's
was
a good
change.
point. Yeah.
And judging by the way he acted, I think he just wanted. I don't think he wanted any part of it. But the hunger was too much. And
it was too much, and the threat of death was too much. And we know that Hart is a pretty good guy. I mean, his delivery is kind of tongue in cheek sometimes, but he's the reason why they actually went out and tried to find Mrs. McCready and Colonel Ives.
Hmm.
He was very adamant about it. So he's obviously a good dude at heart, and he couldn't deal with it, and it probably was the hunger.
Well,
it was just too much.
Imagine being addicted to heroin and then having somebody just giving it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't necessarily want it, but you want it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. But yeah, his change, it does come about quickly. I agree. I don't know. I didn't really see what happened. It's been I don't even know how long, a few weeks, I guess. So
it's been a few weeks since we watched it, but yeah, I don't find that, only because, like I said, we never saw him alone. We only saw him in front of Ives, and if he showed any sign of weakness, I think Ives would have just killed him.
Probably.
So it's not overly shocking that he would put on an act for him.
But yeah, anyway, this is where Boyd does kill Hart by slicing his throat, and Ives sees this, sees the aftermath of it through the window, which is an awesome shot. The blood spurting on the window, and Ives basically just barely changing his demeanor and facial expression to, oh, God damn it.
Yeah, it's and then we get the best fight scene ever.
It is awesome.
It is better than the one with Farrah Fawcett hair. I can never remember his name off the top of my head.
Kurt Russell?
Yes, Kurt Russell, and I don't even remember what movie, but I know you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than that because it's super fun. They wail on each other for about 10 minutes. It's a long time.
It's quite the fight. They mortally injure each other within the first 30 seconds, and then
and they keep going and keep going and keep going. They collapse.
Well, they are superpowered when they go though, so
they are.
They can literally bash the shit out of each other and keep going.
They can, and I got to bring up the musical score again. It's this stoned kind of droning industrial piece of music. No, it's not at this point. It's just
it's drony.
Yeah, it's just great. It just feels stoned to me. Like they're just both in this stupor, this violent stupor, and it's just
wailing on each other. Ives collapses a fucking building on Boyd.
Yeah.
It's great. And they end up Boyd ends up sort of sneaking off into the barn by himself, and he finds this bear trap.
Yeah, and he sets it up.
Yeah, a rather large bear trap.
It's huge. It's that's why I say a bear trap. It's meant for bears.
Sasquatch trap, I think.
Yeah. They're in California, not Canada.
Well, I mean, it is.
Yeah, but it's a big trap, though.
They're Sasquatch.
It's huge.
It's for bears.
It was imported from Canada.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They imported things back then, did they?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, they had to before the Huskies landed because they had no way to travel.
The Space Huskies.
Yeah.
Oh man, that makes them such a cool breed. Now I want even more.
Yeah.
So Ives makes his way into the barn and again tries to reason with Boyd because he still wants Boyd to join him because cannibalism is lonely.
Yeah.
And
so despite the transgression, he's still like, oh, come on,
man. Doesn't it feel good? Don't you feel good right now?
Yeah.
Come on. And he gives him this big old bear hug, and Boyd trips and falls into the bear trap with Ives. And Ives' response to this is my favorite line in this entire movie.
It's fantastic.
Go ahead. He goes, oh, that was sneaky.
Yeah, that was sneaky. And just the way, in awesome Robert Carlyle fashion, the
best delivery ever. It's just, and then
another great quote is, if you die first, I'm definitely going to eat you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just wonderful. The movie is is phenomenal if you enjoy that type of humor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the blackest of humor.
Yeah, it's not quite meant to be a comedy.
No, it's absolutely not.
But
no.
The tone of the movie is perfect.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, we do see them die. They both die.
Yep.
And Martha comes in. This is when the cavalry comes, basically. And Martha comes in and sees them both and kind of smiles to herself a little bit and nods.
But she knows.
And she knows, but she takes off. She's having none of this bullshit.
Yeah, no, she's out of there.
Yeah, she's gone.
I don't blame her.
No, just the clothing on her back, and she takes off. And the
we forgot an important part. Boyd asks her about how do you kill a Wendigo.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's right.
How do you stop? And she says,
yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, you need to die.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we've at the end. I think that's where it ends.
General Slauson, he has a little nibble of the stew, the soup.
Oh right, yes, the
human soup. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, stew. The higher ups show up. They can't find anybody because everybody's fucking dead. Mm-hmm. And he finds this big pot of stew on the fire and takes a nice little nibble.
Yeah.
And then it ends.
And why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if that's sort of like I don't know how much that bothers me, because if he doesn't know why the stew made him feel so fucking good, how would it make him a cannibal?
I think it's kind of not meant to be thought about too much.
Yeah, it's just sort of a haha.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's all it is. I think it's pretty cut and dry.
A little nudge to the audience thing. Yeah, you're probably right.
But yeah, there we have it. 1999's Ravenous, directed by Antonia Bird, and it had a budget of about $12 million and only made $2 million of it back in the theater.
That's so disappointing.
Yeah. That being said, it did have a really limited release, so it wasn't a wide released film. It was just above a film festival release, so only in select theaters in giant cities.
Well, it's a shame because it's a great movie. I wonder if it did well on DVD.
It did, yeah. It's a cult classic.
I mean, I put it on DVD, so.
Which is sort of shocking because it has the really crappy Rotten Tomatoes reviews.
Oh well, I mean,
it's too bad. It's good.
You mean it was brigaded by online trolls?
Yeah, God, they're sexist pricks. Well, you don't like an all-male cast? Fuck you.
They didn't like the strong female characters in it.
They don't like it all. It was directed by a woman.
You know what? These are clearly misandrist motherfuckers.
Yeah, they don't want to support that female director. No kidding.
Fucking pricks.
Who unfortunately died of thyroid cancer in 2013.
She needed to eat more people.
Yeah, that would have helped.
Thanks, patriarchy.
Yeah. I don't really know any of her other films. I know she directed a few before, and I think one after, but I haven't seen them. They're mostly like period dramas based in England. She's an English director, and they're quite dry movies. I need to stop now.
Should we segue into the other movie now?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. My discussion here is just a bit of a stretch. Anyway,
no conjoined themes at all
between the two movies. Well, just to finish off with Ravenous, I assume everyone would recommend it.
Yeah,
I think it's a good horror movie. I think if you haven't seen it, you really need to see it. It's a nice little horror movie. Not a huge cast, but the actors in it are really good.
Yeah, the script is very well written.
Yeah, and great music.
Oh yeah,
and the music is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the the movies do have something in common. Well, not the films themselves, but I just found I actually didn't know that Antonia Bird died. I thought she was still alive. I just assumed. I found that out a few days ago. The director of Perfect Blue, Satoshi Kon, died of pancreatic cancer in 2010.
Huh.
So I guess
So the directors are both dead. That's a okay.
yeah, they both died of cancer. There you go.
That's a great overarching theme.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
that's positive.
So
It's a good theme for a show.
we're gonna segue now into our next movie, which is Perfect Blue.
Can I start out with my impressions of this movie?
Yes.
Sure.
Overall, I enjoyed it, right? But if I didn't have to review it, I think I would have switched off about 20 minutes into it.
Really?
Yeah, because it took a long time for me to get into it. About halfway through, I really start to like it, but the first half, I just did not like it at all. I didn't get into the character. Maybe because I'm not a fan of J-pop. I fucking can't stand
Oh yeah.
J-pop. I can't look. I don't like Western pop music as it is. Not all Western pop music. Some of it's good, but most of it, or a lot of it, I should say, is one step up from the wheels on the bus go round and round. Right. That jingly thing. It's one step up from a TV commercial jingle. Really, a lot of pop music. And J-pop music is even worse. So
the first 2 minutes of this movie must have really made you cringe.
Yeah, and just the fact that it's about a J-pop singer. Instantly not interested, mentally turned off. I thought the main character for most of it was vacuous and boring. And if you're not invested in the main character, you kind of lose interest. Having said that, as the movie went on, about halfway through, it got more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes,
and I'll talk about that later on. And I would recommend it overall, but
yeah.
Well, I mean, I must say it is the movie that jump-started Darren Aronofsky's career. Without this movie, he probably wouldn't have even made Pi, let alone Requiem for a Dream or Black Swan or any of his other films. So there is that.
I am a huge fan of his work. So
if there was less pop music throughout because it's an overarching theme, I think if it wasn't there, it would be a different movie for you.
I think it would be. I think it would be a different movie that wouldn't hit as hard.
No,
I think
it's an important part of the movie. It's actually kind of supposed to be grating because it's grating for her. She's suffocated by the pop star image that she's been shoehorned into. That's why she quits.
Yeah, I get that, but I don't find her overly interesting either. I find her rather vacuous. I think the ultimate villain in the movie, which we won't reveal at this point, but we will later on, I found her much more interesting. I would have liked to have seen more of her. But the main character, Mima, I found very vacuous and uninteresting. She just seemed to go along with things and
her descent into madness is something else, though. It's something
that is interesting, and that's what caught my attention as the movie went along. The other thing I was going to say about it is that there is a very obvious creepy guy in the movie right from the start.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see someone in a movie, well, I should point out, just in case someone's listening and they haven't seen it, we don't know who the killer is right until the end.
Yeah.
But when you have a movie where you don't know who the killer is right till the end, and you have a very, very obvious creepy guy, like in this movie with the weird eyes and the crooked teeth, and
it's a red herring.
Well, I was going to say one of two things. It has to be right. The first one is a red herring, which I immediately saw. The other one, though, is that he's the killer. And if that's the case, it's a shit movie.
And guess what?
I was hoping
it was both.
Well, yeah, but he wasn't the ultimate killer. He was manipulated.
No, but that comes much later. Much later.
Yeah.
Because you got to
so
remember, this guy is a security guard who probably talks to Mima every day.
We should be having this
yeah,
discussion.
I
Yeah,
immediately
they
thought,
clearly know each other and they speak on a daily basis.
but
So-
I
It's
did
not-
immediately think red herring. It's too obvious. But I did think if it is him, then yeah, this is shit. But yeah,
Let's talk about the
it
movie
was a red
first,
herring.
and then we can talk about that after. Because now,
Yeah.
now we're just kind of all over the place. Nobody's gonna understand nothing unless they've watched the movie.
Oh, you should have
Yeah.
watched it before listening. So there.
We would assume so. So Mima is a pop singer for a girl band, Cham, a J-pop band. And fuck you, Bane. The song is catchy as all hell, and I've had it stuck in my head since we watched it.
Having it stuck in your head is not a good thing, though.
It's so catchy. If you like
No,
J-pop,
and that's one of the things I hate about some pop music is it's
it
too
gets
catchy.
stuck in your head.
It gets stuck in your head, and you don't want it stuck in your head.
Yeah, it's an earworm.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't make it good.
Basically, if anybody out there has seen Black Swan, this is basically Black Swan.
Yeah.
13 years later, Darren Aronofsky bought the rights to Perfect Blue, so he wouldn't be sued for plagiarism.
There you go.
This is an actual thing that happened.
Hey, at least he actually admitted where he got.
Oh yeah, no, Satoshi Kon is one of his biggest inspirations in terms of a film director. So Perfect Blue is an amazing animated horror film from 1997. The basic premise is it's about a pop star who is fed up with her lot in life, her forced persona, and she wants to pursue a career as an actress.
Yep, and so we start out with a Cham concert.
Yes, the band is named Cham.
Yep. We get sort of introduced to some background characters that become kind of they're narrators without being narrators. There's a group of guys who are obviously fans of the band, and they go to her concerts, and they give us some overlay about a little group of hooligans who cause problems.
Yeah, they get drunk and throw beer cans. And
you like the hooligans?
Yeah, I can relate to them more than I could to J-pop.
Oh, you just want to go and harass women, right?
yeah.
Only J-pop singers.
So during this performance, her bandmates they announced that Mima has something important to say.
Not after the hooligans start causing issues.
Yeah.
And we are also introduced to a we'll call him weird motherfucker.
Yeah.
Creepy, crooked teeth guy.
Weird fucking goldfish head motherfucker.
Mr. Incel.
Who is from his post as a security guard watching Mima very closely. And he's got his hand positioned in such a way that it looks like she's dancing on his palm.
It does, and I like that scene too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm sure that actually, you know what? I'm sure that you two will know what I'm talking about. You know that how you can focus your vision, so all your peripherals basically become blurry. And I used to do that when I was a kid for fun. That's basically what he's doing.
Yeah,
and it's really creepy. But
the animation here is gorgeous.
It is.
Yeah, I will
we
say
see
very well directed and with great animation all the way through. So.
Just the pop is killing Bane's brain at this point.
It is, but you know, she does almost get hit with the beer can, and I guess being a J-pop star, she gets things thrown at her a lot, so she dodges it like a champ.
Oh, yeah.
But Mr. Creepy Security Guard doesn't take too kindly to that.
He goes wandering over to the little group of hooligans, and he just kind of stands there.
Yeah.
Stares at them, and they start berating him, and he doesn't really say anything. He just sort of stands there, and they start beating on him. Mm-hmm. And this is when Mima gets very upset and goes, you know, today of all days, I just wanted to have fun with all of you.
Yeah.
And she chokes up, and one of her bandmates informs the audience that this will be her last concert, that she's retiring, and she's going to take on an actress role.
Yeah.
which is then overlaid with much more J-pop.
Oh yeah, the slow ballad, yeah, with the insufferable lyrics, no less.
Yeah. It is an overarching theme because we find out through Mima how much she hates the pop star image and she's tired of it. She doesn't want to be seen as a pop idol anymore. She wants to be seen as an actress. And I actually said this to Master and when we watched it, that it reminded me a little bit of Miley Cyrus. When she, as she got older, she didn't want to be seen as like the Disney pop star anymore.
Yeah, but she's a real talent.
She went off the fucking deep end, shaved her head, and started grinding on sledgehammer.
She became a space alien, basically.
Yes.
Yes. But I can see how that would fuck you up as a person, which is what it did to Miley Cyrus and what it does to Mima through this movie. Is she's seen as this innocent doll, and she's been doing it since she was quite young. I think she was, I think she was 19 the first time when she started doing it with Champ.
Yeah, so they've been doing it for two and a half to 3 years. So not that long, but still she's young. So it's a very obviously a very formative part of her life.
Yeah, and she wants to be seen as, so she wants to be taken seriously. I get that a lot out of her.
Yeah, and she has talent too. Her agents say that she has talent and she can actually act.
Yes, and she can sing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that we learned right away, that her agent, Rumi, and her best friend, I guess, is not too pleased that she wants to become an actress. She's not angry about it, really.
Very protective
of Mima, and of course she says to a couple of producers very early on in the film that like Mima's good at singing. That's what she does.
She doesn't want this. Do you know what she wants?
Yeah.
Rumi very much thinks, it sort of reminds me of an overprotective mother. Where she knows what's best for Mima, and I think she genuinely wants what's best for her.
Well, despite her demeanor, like later on and even now, I like Rumi.
Yeah.
Like I think her heart's definitely in the right place. It seems.
For now.
Everything, she really does just want what's best for Mima, and she's not quite sure that, do you really want to do this? Because your career could be over if it fails.
Yeah,
for both. You might not be able to be a pop star again, and you'll fail as an actress, and then what?
Rumi is pretty supportive of her.
Yeah, she lets her do it.
Yeah. But Mima receives a letter, a bunch of fan mail from fans at the end of her final concert, and she's reading it at home after she does her grocery shopping. It's something I noticed that I don't know if this is actually true in Japanese culture or not. Somebody would have to tell me if pop idols are not like ridiculously famous to the point where they get mobbed in public, where they can actually just wander around and go.
They are. She's not so famous that she's like Britney Spears was in the 90s or Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
She's not.
I assume there would be a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah, she is famous. Like she's quite well known, but she's not. It's not odd to see her out and about because she's not this elusive.
She's not like. Yeah, so it's to me that would be strange to see a celebrity just in the grocery store. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not uncommon in places like California where they all live.
Maybe not. I mean,
wandering around on the streets, just like because there are people. I don't know. It struck me as odd that she wasn't getting mobbed in the grocery store.
Yeah,
by a bunch of fans. But anyway, she goes back to her apartment with her groceries, and she's opening her fan mail, and she has a letter that's a little bit odd. And it says, every day I look at Mima's room. And then it flashes to a shot of the window because, that's creepy.
It does. And I need to mention here, this is where the use of red in the film starts.
Mm-hmm.
The background is completely red on her startled face. And this is the start of her downward spiral.
Well, yeah,
she doesn't know what that means. It says, I'm always watching Mima's room or something.
Yeah.
and she doesn't know what that means. She has no idea. It's based in the early 90s. And I guess the audience doesn't really
No,
know
it's
what that
creepy.
means either. Yeah, it's really creepy.
The first thing I thought was, oh, that's not very nice.
So she looks out the window, and there's this amazing shot of the like quote unquote camera zooming back from her window, with her just looking out of her little 400 square foot Japanese apartment, probably thinking to herself, "Oh my God, who's looking in my room?"
Yeah.
What?
So then her mother calls,
mhm.
and she's running herself a tub, and Japan's just cool. And her little alarm goes off to let her know that her tub's full. I just think that's so cool. Why do we have shit like that here? Like their technology. Oh.
Well, I suppose we could, but
yeah, because why wouldn't you? That's just a cool little thing. That's just a cool thing to have.
There's an idea for a business. You should, either import it from Japan or.
I got one. I don't need another one.
No, but you can sell them.
I got enough problems.
Okay.
Anyways, so she hangs up with her mother and goes to check on the tub, and then the phone immediately rings again, even though she told her mother to call her back later because she wanted to have a bath. And she picks it up, and we get the heavy breathing, as you do when you've got a movie like
Hello?
Hello? You have the wrong number!
You have the wrong movie!
Her reaction is a lot more subtle than Olivia Huston. So
it's just a couple little, those little sweet hellos that you would expect from a dainty Japanese lady, and she gets another call and hangs up and goes, "Oh, it's just a wrong number."
Yeah.
And then the fax machine goes.
And boy, does it ever.
Oh, the fax machine. The sound, the way they integrate the sound of the fax coming in with the musical score that's playing over this point.
This is another film. The music is amazing in this movie, too, besides the J-pop.
Yeah.
The score itself, though, is quite nice. It's very good.
Yeah, it has the vocals of the particular piece of music that I'm thinking of. If you've watched the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You feel it in your chest, especially if you're watching it quite loud, which we did both times we watched it.
Yeah.
You feel it because it vibrates your lungs.
Mm-hmm. It does. And I made a mistake. This is where the camera pull away happens.
Yes.
This is when she looks out her window, because this fax coming in is in just insane printing that says traitor.
Over and over and over and over again. Overlapped.
Yes.
And I actually jumbled up the events here a little bit, which I imagine we're going to do a lot with this movie because they are very jumbled on top of one another.
Just a little bit.
Dream logic plays a part.
Yeah. So when she was on the phone with her mother originally, that's when the wrong number came in. Then the bath happened. Then the fax happened. That was the actual sequence of events. Mm-hmm. I'd done fucked it up the first time.
I don't think that matters too much.
It does later.
Yeah, and I think that's really somebody on the train or something, or one of her fans screams out, I'm always watching Mima's room before that, I think. Remember? That's what kind of...
No, that's after this.
Is it?
Yeah, because that's what I think prompts her to ask Rumi what it is.
Okay.
So she's showing we cut to the next day, and she's on set, and she's practicing her one line. And Rumi's reading her fan mail with her, and she goes, "Oh, this is a website. This is just the name of a website." Which, when you're watching it, makes you go, "Oh, we're stupid. It's harmless."
Like, it's a fan site called Mima's Room.
It's a fan site called Mima's Room, and the internet's fairly new, and it freaked her out, which it would for anybody who didn't have the internet back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So. That gives the audience sort of a sigh of relief, and everything's sort of okay now.
Yeah.
And she goes to deliver her line, and while she's preparing for her line, she's whispering it over and over and over again to herself.
Her line is simply, "Who are you?"
Yep.
Who are you? Who are you?
He has
Who are
one
you?
line.
And she's saying it in many different ways. And
Yep.
yeah.
The way you would if you were going to deliver.
Hmm.
And she's nervous, and it's her first scene.
Yeah, it's just so everybody knows, it does become very important later. It's like a crime drama series called Double Bind that she's playing in.
In the background, as she's doing this to herself, her other producer, what is his name?
I can't remember his name.
So we have Rumi, and then she has a male producer who maybe we should make up a name for him.
Yeah.
Bob.
Okay, Rumi and Bob.
Very Japanese name.
Super Japanese. And Bob is handed a fan letter that ends up at the studio for Mima.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes the liberty of opening it. And when she is about to deliver her line, we hear what sounds like a gunshot.
Yeah.
But we find out immediately that this fan letter exploded.
Yeah, it was a very small letter bomb.
Yep. And Bob's covered in blood, and it's chaos. Everybody's screaming. Rumi's calling for an ambulance. And we see little pieces of the letter within floating down, and one piece tells us, that the next one's going to be a real.
Yeah, so this was just little, and Bob just kind of passed out not from blood loss or the injury, but just from shock. Yeah, so he's fine. It's just and
then in the next scene we see him, and he's just got a bandage on his arm. It's not even it didn't really hurt him that badly. It just probably gave him a minor heart attack.
It scared the hell out of him.
It scared the hell out of him. He goes, "Oh, I'm fine," and he's covered in blood, and then he passes out.
Yeah.
So we don't know if he's dead or alive until we see him next.
Yeah.
And so we then cut to Mima in her room again, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
She's with Rumi, and she's purchased a computer.
Yeah, Rumi bought her well, I guess Mima bought the computer, and then
Mima bought the computer, and Rumi's over there helping her try to use it. She's showing her how it works, and Mima's like a boomer.
Yeah, she's like a grandmother. She has no idea how any of this works.
Like, this is one of those moments where I really enjoy her character. I think she's adorable, trying to figure out the computer. And Rumi goes, "Why'd you buy it if you don't know how it works?" And
because they said it was easy.
They said it was easy in the store. Well, of course they would say that to you because they want you to buy it.
Yeah. And she has no idea what she's doing. She even types in the HTTP / before, and you didn't even have to do that in 1994.
I was gonna say, did you do that? Okay, well, yeah, she types in the entire website, and she's very pleased with herself every time she does a little something, and she's like, "Oh, I did it!" And then she finds the website, and she's in it, and she finds it's full of updates and posts, and she's enjoying it at first because it's my birthday, and there's some like paparazzi shots of her, and then there's a post from the day that the letter bomb arrived.
With the day she went shopping, I think, and it goes in great detail, everything what happened on that little shopping trip, to the point where this person even knows what foot she stepped out of the train on first.
Yeah, and then
that's not creepy at all.
No, and she freaks out a little at this point.
Well, it's worse because there's that audio clip
of her
reciting that line to herself
over and over
again. So
she freaks out and basically goes, "What is this? How do they know so much?"
Yeah. Where did they get the audio clip from? This is when she slams the curtains shut, and I don't think she opens them again for the duration of the movie.
No. Not until the end.
Yeah, and she's freaking out because that would freak anybody out.
Yeah, that's some insane levels of paparazzi.
Yes.
So.
and it's at this point everybody and their mother is wondering why she hasn't contacted the police to let them know that she has a stalker, but Rumi and Bob convince her, it's not that big a deal. They were
Even
just,
about the letter bomb, she wanted to call the police about that too, and they're like, "Oh, it was just a prank."
yeah, it was probably just a
It's
prank.
just a bomb, that's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, just calm down. Don't worry about it. People are a little mad that you've abandoned the pop star thing. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Just stop it. Get some Mac Nuggets. It's okay.
Get some back nuggets.
Yeah.
And then we cut again. And it is the next time she's on set, I believe. God, everything's already getting jumbled. It's really hard to keep track.
As it does, yeah.
I seriously suggest watching this movie because I guarantee you we're gonna fuck up the plot.
I have seen this movie probably 24 times and I still fuck it up. So
she's
no worries.
yeah. So she's back on set again, and this time everything goes sort of smoothly. There's nothing weird.
Mm-hmm.
Rumi's really pleased. Everybody's sort of happy. Bob's trying to get her more lines. Please use Mima more.
Yeah.
Doing what a producer should do for you.
Yeah, that's her agent. So.
Yep. And then we get another cut, and they're in the office and they're discussing her new lines and her new part. And we discover that they, at the show, really enjoyed her acting. She was very well received by the audience when her episode aired. They want to use her more, but in order to do that, they need to drastically change her character. And
her backstory, basically.
Yeah, so in order to do that, they have a pretty violent rape scene happen. And Rumi is pissed on Mima's behalf at this point. She's very upset. She goes, of course, we won't allow it, Mima. We're going to get them to change it. And Bob and her have a bit of a back and forth. And because Bob wants her to do it because it's money in his pocket.
Yeah. And it's her acting career, too. And Mima kind of pipes up and just says, calm down. I'll do it.
I'll do it.
It is a change in direction for her, too. So it's breaking away from that.
Yeah, it couldn't possibly be further from that pop star image. Yeah.
She really wants to be taken seriously as an actress. And I think that she thinks this is as a hurdle.
I like how Bob says, Jodie, what's her name, did it?
Yeah.
With Jodie Foster's famous rape scene.
Yeah. And so she goes, yeah, I'll do it. And Rumi's like, are you sure? Like, you don't have to. And she goes, yeah, everybody's worked so hard. I don't want to put everybody else behind schedule. Like, I'll do it. And we cut. And we're back on set again. And it's the rape scene. And
this is where the downward spiral for the audience happens too, where we're not sure if we're watching the show or Mima's real life. It happens here and there.
And that's when I start to get more interested in it, when we started to go into what's real scene, and what's not real.
That's right. So that scene opens with a scream and a runway actress, like a fashion model, walking back, and there's a scream, and they find the two characters in double bind. The two detectives see a dead body, and then you see the VCR feedback of it rewinding.
Yep.
And then it zooms out of the monitor.
Yep.
And it's just an awesome little scene, and we go, oh wow, okay, so
that didn't actually happen. Okay, that was definitely part of the show.
Yeah.
But it's a rabbit hole. You're going to be very confused for much of this movie, your first viewing. Like we had to watch it twice because
you wanted to watch it a second time, right?
I'm a basket case. I was stressed out and I didn't retain the first time, and it's already a confusing movie. So it's like, okay, I can't do this without watching it again. And it's upon second viewing, it doesn't get a whole lot clearer.
No, some things do. They click, and then it's made in such a jarring way.
It's very well done. It's something you could watch a few times and notice little things every time.
Yeah.
So we cut to her in her scene, and she is stripping, and the crowd gets a little bit overzealous.
Yeah.
And they attack her, and the guy gets on top of her, and they cut.
Because he can't get his fly down.
No. That happens after.
Oh, okay.
They cut once, and he goes. They move the cameras to get another.
Yes.
To get another shot, and he's on top of her, breathing like he's right next to her face, and he goes, "I'm really sorry."
And she gives it. She just smiles at him and goes, "Oh no, it's all right." But
it's okay,
oh, that's got to be
Yeah,
awkward.
because it is a pretty full on rape.
Oh
scene.
yeah, and I see like she's in a really uncomfortable position because she's half hanging off the edge of the stage, and they cut, and when they cut, you can't move, like at all, or else you'll notice when the camera.
The idea is that this poor fellow had a very awkward boner.
Yeah, and he feels bad.
Well, it's just not reacting.
Yeah, he's
poking her, and he's like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry."
Yeah. So they cry for action, and they start again, and he starts up again, groping her a little bit, and then he tries to get his pants off.
Yeah.
And he can't get his fly down. So they cut, and the director screams at him, "Faster!
You have to do it faster."
It's really, really, really funny in the middle of this very somber movie.
Yeah.
And in between these shots of her filming this rape scene, we cut to Bob and Rumi, and Rumi has gone to pieces. She's crying all over herself.
Weeping.
Yeah, she's so distraught by.
And it is a very convincing rape scene too. Like
it is, yeah, it is. I mean, unless you take into account the fact that the guy on top of her freezes and then apologizes.
Well, the guy on top of her is wearing underwear, and exactly. Yeah. But still, I guess it's pretty intense for Rumi because that's
softcore porn for daytime television.
It is, but I think Rumi's reaction is a little much, but at the same time, that's kind of like her daughter.
Yes.
Right? So,
yeah, and during the bits where they are shooting, it is pretty full on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, tits come out, so
if you take out the bits where they cut, and that if you just look at the bits where they're shooting, it is a pretty full on scene.
Oh yeah, it's really intense. I imagine it looks great in the TV show. And so Rumi's gone, and Bob's pretty uncomfortable with it too. You can tell, and I think it's because she was so young when they started working together.
Well, yeah, and he's kind of looking with a look on his face. Yeah, like, this is kind of gross.
It'd be like watching your niece.
Yeah.
Get plowed on camera. So this all transpires, and Mima comes out, and Bob's alone in the car to drive her home. And she goes, "Oh, where's Rumi?" And Bob says, "Oh, she had a meeting she went to for me." But, he starts to say something to her and then stops himself.
Yeah, Mima, you don't, and then just kind of.
I think if you were to ask me, I think he was just going to tell her, you don't have to do this if you don't want to.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But she was really calm and collected, which is probably what stopped him. And
she just got into car and went, "Oh, I'm so tired." Yep. That's it. And then, yeah.
And he goes, "Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to take you out for dinner." And she's very excited. It's very cute. I love her character.
You really like her, don't you?
I do. I find her adorable. She reminds me of a friend of mine. I think you know who I'm talking about, who's also very bubbly and adorable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I could not get into the character. She didn't resonate with me.
So
just didn't do it for you, eh?
You know what? You don't deserve Mima.
I don't want Mima. So
I just find her adorable. I find her innocent in a sweet way and not a vapid way. If that makes sense.
And yeah, I think I agree. I mean, I don't find her stupid or vapid myself.
Yeah,
like
that's what
I don't think she's dumb.
No, I think I find her innocent. Like she sort of reminds me of my grandmother a little bit. in where she's fascinated by things that are everyday for most people, like the internet.
Yeah.
Watching her work the computer is very cute.
Yeah, super proud of herself for typing in HTTP, which is completely unnecessary.
Locating that website, she was so proud of herself, and I was like, "Oh, well, I'm proud of you too."
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, which makes the next little bit of this quite heart wrenching. Like if you don't find her a shallow character.
Yeah.
We cut back to her room where she has a bit of a hallucination and she thinks all of her little fishies are dead.
Yeah.
And
Nervous breakdown.
This sparks a nervous breakdown where she rips apart her room. She's throwing everything around. She's crying. Of course, I didn't want to do it. Of course not. Who would want to do such a thing?
Yeah.
And she's talking about the rape scene, and
yeah, it really traumatized her really badly.
And I think it does so for a lot of actors, especially if she is a method actor in any way.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels too real.
Mm-hmm.
If that,
Yeah, so she evidently didn't like it, and I mean, of course, that's okay. Not everybody has to enjoy playing those roles.
And I think.
But she looks up and she sees, after she's had a good cry, that her fish are still alive.
Yeah.
And it was just a insane hallucination, and that's really when her downward spiral starts to.
Yes. This is where we start getting a lot of layers of, is that real or is it not?
Yeah.
I've totally lost my train of thought there. That came and went. The fish are okay, and it's assumed that she hasn't been sleeping.
Yes.
I would imagine that she's not sleeping well. She's just under a lot of stress.
You can see it on her face too. She's just.
If you've gone for a long time without sleeping, you know that it can cause hallucinations.
Yeah, pretty intense ones too. So.
Yes, like taking drugs. They can be quite intense.
You see bats out of the corner of your eye. And
yes, I told you about that.
Yeah.
Insomnia really sucks. Don't leave insomnia. You can actually die from it. So
the more you know.
PSA of the day.
Yes.
So we get another cut, and now this is where it's confusing because we don't really know where we are in terms of reality, whether we're not.
This is where the cuts from double bind and reality start to really blur together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is where it really grabbed my interest because it started to become unclear what was reality and what wasn't.
Are we at the scene yet where Mima is playing the role of the insane girl who was raped, and she's in the hospital? And
no, that's way towards the end.
Is it okay? Because that scene in particular is
that the scene where they're talking about her, saying she thinks she's part of a TV show?
Yeah. I thought on first viewing, I thought that could have been real. I thought, wow,
that really grabbed my attention at that point.
Yeah, I guess we're jumping ahead a little, but yeah,
we are. So
but I don't think we have to say everything in sequence because it is a weird movie with dreamlike qualities. So that at this point it really starts to play with what is real and what isn't. Is she a pop star who's acting in a TV show, or is she a rape victim who believes that she's a pop star acting in a TV show?
In that instant, the audience, I myself, I fell for it. I thought,
same here.
It was so convincing, and it didn't even seem tacked on. It was like, holy shit, where is this going to go next?
Yeah.
And then you see that VCR tape rewind distortion, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. But I wasn't irritated personally. I was like,
they got me.
No, neither was I.
Yeah.
I respected it for doing that.
Yeah.
So, in between all of these little cuts and splices and overlaps, Mima keeps seeing herself as a pop idol and having little arguments with her past self.
I think
And
the first one happens on the train.
no, yes, the first instance of her seeing, should we call her Cham Mima?
Yeah, just
Okay.
pop star Mima or
Pop
whatever.
star Mima. Pop star Mima. She gets a flash of her on the sky, on a train.
What does she say again?
Nothing really. She just
She's-
giggles. I think she just giggles at her. It's a
Yeah.
flash. Seconds. It's the second.
Oh wait, no, I absolutely refuse to do it. That's what she says.
Mm-mm.
That she does say that to her at one point. I remember that very distinctly. So
That's a little bit later inside.
I see.
It's in her room, like before she's done. It's before she's done the scene, but before her meltdown afterwards.
I see. Oh, so on the way home, probably.
Yeah. So
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, during her meltdown afterwards, she has a big confrontation with her, which we
Oh, on the computer screen. Yes.
yeah, her inner self, who calls her filthy and used and basically a whore, and it's really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
For Mima because
she breaks down and basically screams, "I am not tarnished. You're lying."
Yeah. Because it is a fight with her inner self at this point, definitely.
So you might say it's guilt over what she's doing, and
I think a lot of it just comes down to lack of sleep. She probably hasn't slept
stress.
more than a few hours in a week. So
public perception, okay, because she's got all these articles coming out about her and all this stuff, and she's done this very adult scene. On top of it, she has that Mima's room, who one of the posters is pretty upset. That's where you're getting that "I refuse to do it" thing from. That's been posted on Mima's room, and she's reading it, and it's all getting in her head, and which is again confusing reality because she becomes very obsessed with that website. Because I know so much about her everyday life, and she can't figure out how. She starts to think that it is real. I remember a scene in the middle of the night, which again suggests she's not sleeping much, where she's reading it obsessively about a little shopping trip she went on, and she goes, "Oh, well, I guess I went there today."
Yeah, and she just looks dead. And it's heartbreaking to watch too.
Yeah, it really is. She's her descent into.
She's obsessed with this website, and
she won't stop looking at it.
Yeah,
and we get cuts of God damn it, what's his name?
Mr. His screen name is Mania. Mr. Mania.
Mr. Mania. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is the creepy guy we saw at the very beginning, who was a security guard, which is sort of why he sticks out like a sore thumb, but he belongs.
He does what I recall her smiling at him really big when he does something at the concert at the beginning. Like I said, I get the impression that they speak a lot, like probably just after the show, like, "Oh, that was a really nice show, Mima." I mean, obviously he's creepy and obsessive, but
but
still,
I think that they have a working relationship that's on her part, not on his. Like, she starts to get weirded out by him the more and more she sees him.
Oh, right. When does it happen in the oh wait, it's coming up soon where she rides the elevator up and
it's coming. It's right now.
Okay.
Now that he's in mixed with a bunch of paparazzi, and she's really stressed out at this point. She's having all these weird little attacks on her person.
Yeah.
And she's not sleeping, and she rushes into the building where there's some paparazzi waiting. They try to get her.
Is this the scene where she walks past her fans and they kind of call her a snob to themselves? Yes. Because it's not like her to do that. I get the impression.
That's the paparazzi.
Okay.
Outside. They say, "Oh, do they all become like that when they become actresses?"
Yeah. It just doesn't seems against her character to not, say hello and sign some autographs. It just seems that she would be the type to do that.
Yes.
And she just no. I want nothing to do with any of you.
What you were just describing was a scene in the TV show.
Oh, see?
See?
That's insane. Yeah, look at that. You're
and
you're right. Yeah.
the whole movie does this to you the whole time. So she runs into the building and she gets in the elevator and she sees a newspaper clipping, and it's of one of the hooligans at the beginning of the movie who was causing problems at her concert.
The one who is throwing most of the cans, the one that
The leader.
talked the most, the leader, the short guy.
And we find out that he's in critical condition in the hospital, and then we get a very creepy little smile from
Mania.
Mania,
As the elevator closes.
and she knows.
Yeah.
And I think that's
is this when she's going to visit the other two members of Cham, or
no, that's a little bit later.
Okay.
Or it's already happened and we've completed.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. No, I don't think it's happened yet.
No, I think that's coming.
It's very important though.
She's way crazy by that point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, this is nude photo shoot.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, yeah, the nude photo shoot happens before she visits the her friends from Cham.
Yes. So it's actually like we see it because we've mentioned those guys at the beginning who sort of narrate without narrating.
Yeah.
And we get some expose from them about an interview she did, and we get another cut to her ex bandmates who are sort of making fun of her a little bit for going. She has they know she has a photo shoot with this photographer who has
he has a reputation.
Yes, he has a reputation for making them strip.
Yeah, coercing them to do so.
Strip.
Yeah.
Yes. So they then we cut to the photo shoot where she does indeed bare all.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, you get full frontal nudity in this movie.
It's just like on Pornhub.
Oh yeah. And the photographer's a little bit creepy. It's just a tiny bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like he's almost drooling at a couple
spots. He enjoys his job a little bit too much for my comfort, but
yeah, I got the creepy feeling from him, but he doesn't seem to be a rapist or anything. No. So he really likes the female form.
Is in no way forcing or coercing her to do this. She does it all of her own volition. He just enjoys it a little too much.
Yeah.
It's like that one guy at a strip club that's actually way too fucking happy to be there.
Yeah.
Just in the corner drooling on himself. Oh God. Women.
It's probably better if he's drooling on himself rather than drooling on the strippers, though, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure he was sweating all over Mima during that photo shoot.
Yeah, he was.
He was a little drippy.
Anyway, yeah, that's. I think it's kind of that same scene, that same time lapse where Mr. Mimania is in the magazine store.
Buying up all the magazines.
Yeah, and he buys them all, and he is pissed. He's really excited.
He rips some out of the hands of some people who are looking at it.
Yeah, he's super excited about it, but he's pissed at the same time.
He's aroused but not happy.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be aroused by this. Yeah.
Well, clearly she belongs to him, and she should just know that.
Yeah.
Well, hey, she's been speaking to him, emailing with him, telling him how much she loves him.
Well, yeah, that we find out that I mean, she in air quotes there. That's mean.
Yes.
We'll see.
So he was already a little nuts, and then some other crazy enhanced his crazy, and they just kind of fed off of each other a little bit there.
Just his face. I love the store clerk's face.
When he grabbed it,
looking at him like, sir.
You got a lot of fat material there. Do you need all of it?
Yeah. And he looks horrified. Mr. Mimania just looks terrified and sweaty, and he's like, I want to buy all of these magazines. Yeah. He doesn't say that, but it's just
fair, he's always sweaty.
Yeah.
Yes.
In every scene he's sweaty.
That's true.
Well, no, actually, no, he isn't. Nope,
Well,
he's not
every
really sweaty.
scene, you know what? I notice the sweat even if it's not there. He's that creepy.
Yeah, he looks like a retarded goldfish.
He does.
The eyes all fucking bugged out on the side of his head. He's an interesting looking man.
Mhm.
So now I think we get the cut to the writer of the show.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I think so.
Yes, in the parkade.
Ah, that's it. Yeah. This is
So-
where shit really hits the fan in terms of violence.
Shit starts really hitting the fan now. Real violence and not TV fake violence. And the writer pulls into his parking spot. And
Mhm.
what does the note say that's scribbled on his parking spot?
It says double bind.
Okay, right.
Like
okay.
but it's all fucked up. Like it's
Covered in blood, too.
it's colored, yeah, and it's done in the same style that the the letter bomb note was, and Traitor, the fax, and yes, it's just insane. So somebody taped over his spot that probably said his last name and the stall number with double bind, which is just ugh.
And it's covered. Which, I mean, you'd think would immediately get this guy back up and he'd get in his car.
Yeah, but he doesn't seem to care, and it seems kind of silly at first, and then I think about it and go, he probably gets pranked like that often.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it was something he's used to, because the way he reacted was like, oh, not again.
Yeah, like, oh, fucking kids.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden we get a very, very distorted, very, very loud Cham single that we heard.
The main single, the catchy
earworm that we heard at the beginning of the movie that features Mima.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets louder and louder and louder, and the writer is freaking out at this point, and he goes to the elevator to get out of the parkade, and the elevator doors open, and there is a boom box with the speakers cranked to maximum. The speakers are blown. It's really distorted.
Yeah. I must say that this scene is, in my opinion, one of probably, I hesitate to use the term, but top 20 or so my favorite horror movie scenes. I love this little scene. It's awesome.
Yeah, it opens on the boombox, and then it cuts, and the doors open again, and he's dead inside the elevator with his eyes gouged out.
Yep.
And the doors close again.
It's really very jarring within the film too, because it's over 30 minutes in too, and like, don't forget, this movie is only an hour and 26 minutes long with credits. It's quite short. So
yeah. And then what do we get? What do we get now? We get another cut, because it's cut happy at this point. It's just cut, bouncing all over the place. Yeah, she's in her. No, she's back on set.
Mm-hmm.
Again, doing another scene, and it's outside.
In the rain, yes, with that. I forget the other actress she's working with, but yeah, they're trying to do this scene, and when Mima's line comes up, she completely fucks it up and says something like totally unrelated.
She's talking to Rumi. And like these are all overlapped. Basically, I don't think we're gonna get the details on this exactly right. So we'll just heel deer it here. And
it's hopeless. So
it cuts from that scene to Rumi in her room, back to that scene, to Rumi in her room again, which was the next day.
Oh, with the cake and the tea, yes.
And Mima has no idea where she is, what's going on, what's real. And we get to a point where she's holding her teacup and she crushes it between her hands and she's bleeding. And Rumi goes, "Oh God, what did you do? You're bleeding." And she goes, "Oh, I guess the blood's real, isn't it?" Yeah. She's lost it. Mima's lost it. She's gone batshit. She hasn't slept in a fucking week, and she has no idea where she is, what's going on. And as the audience, we hardly know what's going on, because there's a news report on the TV that plays twice in a row, which would sort of suggest it's the same day, but it's not, because Rumi says, "I was here yesterday,"
Yeah.
it's almost like it was pre-recorded and
Yeah.
replayed.
Yeah.
It's just everything's weird at this
Yeah.
Well,
point.
That was bizarre when the newscast played again in the same way. I remember the first time I saw it. I should mention that the first time I saw this movie, I hated it. I was 14. I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all.
Why a 14-year-old you would have hated it.
But I watched it again a couple years later, and I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. But anyway, yeah, that scene was very jarring.
I was going to say, at this point, we're thinking that maybe Mima is going mad, but at least Rumi is sane. We know Rumi's sane, and that's very endearing and something to hold on to for the audience.
At this point in the movie, Rumi is very, very endearing. Like I said, she clearly cares about Mima a lot.
And sane, very sane.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Like
I gotta throw this out here because I want you to know. There's one instance where I was like, that's fucking weird. Why is she that upset?
That's during the rape scene, right?
Yeah, during that rape scene when she started crying and stormed off. That to me was the only red flag I saw.
Yeah, we had mentioned that. I said that she was weeping, and that really got you, didn't it?
It did. Yeah. I was like, that's fucking weird. She's just acting. Calm down. Like,
yeah,
did it kind of leave your head after that?
I was because she disappears after that too. She's like,
yeah, I guess. Oh, she had a meeting to go to, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
she's that upset. She suddenly disappears.
You know what? Upon I've seen it so many times now. What you're saying kind of makes sense, but in first viewing, I could see somebody thinking of it as a red flag, and then it just kind of leaving.
Yeah, no, I didn't think the ending was shocking to me still, but that made me think that she maybe sent the letter. I thought maybe she was involved, but I didn't think when the deaths started happening, I was like, oh, okay, there's no way that's Rumi. She's not that crazy.
Yeah, I kind of assumed it was Me-Mania.
Yeah,
or because obviously, right?
Yeah, she's a little overbearing, but she's not that crazy.
No,
yeah, I thought Me-Mania was just too obvious right from the start.
Well, yeah, and you're right. He is for the most part, you're right. Anyway, he is a red herring, but not in the traditional sense.
Yeah, I didn't really. It's because he kept showing up that I was like, yeah, it's probably.
Well, he did do some things, either at the behest of a certain someone or not, but he did run down that boy, the guy who was throwing beer cans.
Yeah. It's both. It's two. It's at the same time. He's a red herring, and he's also not.
Yeah, which I think is fine. I mean, he's obviously unhinged and obsessed. So.
He is the red herring in the sense that you think that he's the only one. Well,
yeah. Agreed. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and you know what, Bane? I actually kind of agree with you about that. I don't think that the movie would have been shit. I think that the movie would have been far lesser if it was just Me-Mania.
Yeah, it would have.
You know what I mean? It would have been all those dream sequences, all the odd time lapses. They would have become meaningless if it was just him.
But if you've got a movie where you don't want the audience to know who the killer is and you want them to speculate,
and then it turns out I see what
the
you're
most
saying.
Obvious person.
Yeah, I certainly see what you're saying. I get it. Yeah, there's no mystery in that. It's not a murder mystery anymore. It's here you go. You were right. You were right all along.
There's plenty of movies which tell you right from the start who the killer is.
But it makes sense within the context of that, because when those films do that, it's not a mystery. It's not supposed to be a mystery.
Exactly.
We're talking whodunits versus.
We all know that Michael Myers is the killer in Halloween from the very beginning.
Yeah.
It's not a mystery. It's not something to be solved.
So if it's a mystery, if someone is just too obvious, and he was just the way he looked, as soon as you saw him, you knew he was the creepy guy.
And he is creepy, which I think is fine. He serves that stereotype well. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the film would have suffered greatly if it was just, it was just Me-Mania and it was him all along, and the audience, you were right. And there you go.
So I thought it has to be one of two things: a red herring or shit writing. And I was hoping it was a red herring. I was pretty sure it was, and it was.
Yeah.
And it was well done. The way that
Sort of. It's both. He's both.
He
no,
is,
no, no,
but
it is a red herring because you think he's the only one, and you don't. Therefore, you don't suspect the
The
ultimate.
extra, yes, the extra cherry on top of the Psycho Sunday.
yeah, I must say that I was. I don't want to speak too much of it right now, but I was shocked when I found out. It actually did shock me. It was, holy shit. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, but wow.
And the Me Mania scene coming up where he does confront Mima, that did make me think,
Oh shit.
is he?
Aw.
Is it just him?
Because that sucks.
Yeah,
I could hear the disappointment in your voice.
yeah, because at this point I was invested in the movie. When it started, I wasn't, but by this point I was, because the dreamlike sequences and the confusion over what's reality and maybe she's going mad. I found all that interesting. And I'd start to get invested in the movie, and then look, he is the killer after all.
Yeah, you didn't want them
And
to
I
throw you
thought-
that bone. You weren't interested in chewing on that, so.
No, and I thought, I hope there's more than that, and there was, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've killed the writer, and next comes the photographer.
Yeah. Does the visit happen before that or after? I keep mentioning the visit with her former members of Cham because it's, to me, that's the most pivotal scene in the entire film.
It's just after this.
Okay.
I believe.
You know what? You know what? You mentioned it. It doesn't really matter.
She's filming a scene on the TV show where she kills somebody.
Yeah.
And we get it cut with a scene of what we don't know which is real at this point because the audience is confused as fuck.
Is this the photographer?
Yes. Somebody.
Well, I can see that it's the photographer.
Yeah,
but anyway,
no. What I mean is we don't know if the photographer is suddenly in the TV show.
He could be. Yeah, sure. Sure. Okay.
No, we don't know if he's really dead. It's all spliced together in such a way that it appears that Mima has killed somebody in the TV show, but also
that may be real life. But what is real life? Or is it all TV
You know
show?
what? You know who I suspected?
Yeah.
You know who I suspected killed the producer in the elevator was Mima when I first saw the movie.
Yeah,
I thought it was her.
I had suspicions of her for a while. Yep.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean,
obviously, I think so. But this the photographer scene, he orders pizza, and do you mind if I get into it a little? Or? Anyway, it's a very jarring scene. He answers the door and takes his pizza and kind of looks this person up and down and goes, "You sure are a weird pizza guy."
Yeah.
And bends over. The killer, the pizza guy, I should say, dropped the money.
Yeah.
Like
it was the pizza. He dropped the pizza.
Oh, it was the pizza. Yeah. Okay, sure. That's right. No, you're right. He hands
him the money and then goes, "You're weird. You're weird."
Yeah, you're a weird pizza guy. And he bends over to pick up the pizza, and out comes an ice pick.
To the guts.
And stabs him right in the eye.
The eye.
And this scene, excuse me, is very, very jarring because it's complete silence for a couple of seconds. And then this realization that, oh my God, my eye has just been gouged out. And his scream is really convincing. But yeah, he proceeds to be murdered by this weird pizza guy. Stabbed several times. He tries to pick up the phone to call the police, I assume. The emergency line, and he's stabbed right through the hand with the ice pick and then stabbed over and over again as he's laying on his back. And we see that the pizza man is really Mima. Yeah. And this scene is interspersed with her full frontal nudity shots.
In the background.
Every time she stabs him, one of the shots flashes on screen.
Yeah.
And so I was convinced on my first, well, I should say second viewing. I barely paid attention the first time. The second viewing, I was convinced that it was Mima at this point.
Yeah, I had my suspicions.
Like having blackouts, and right after the fact, she wakes up in her apartment
with the
in her
phone
bed
ringing,
with the phone ringing, and
Bob going, "Are you okay?"
yeah, and she goes to her closet. I can't remember why, and she finds the pizza boy outfit covered in blood in a bag.
Because
And then
Bob, wait, you're getting ahead of yourself. Bob calls her and goes, "Are you okay? You didn't hear about the photographer. Don't leave until I get there." So
yes,
she goes into her closet to get dressed because he's obviously going to come pick her up because they're worried about her.
Yeah,
and
well,
that's when
there's a murderer. Yeah.
Targeting people that are surrounding her in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And that's when she finds the bag of bloody clothes in her closet. And she hides it because she's thinking now that it might have been her. I think she's thinking that we're thinking that she's going insane and she's blacking out.
And that's when her doorbell rings too. Yeah.
Yes. And she goes to the door and she opens it. It's just fucking paparazzi screaming at her. And then we cut and she's with Bob. And I think this is when when he tries to reunite her with Cham for a little meeting with them to see them because she hasn't seen them since she quit.
Yeah, a little visit to make her feel better, basically.
So they're
trying
doing
to help her at this point.
Yeah, they're doing a cute little radio show and telling the audience about their next show, and Mima's watching. She's very excited to see them, but then Pop Mima shows up inside the booth with the two of them.
Sitting at the end of the table between them.
Yeah, like she's also on the show with them, and of course this sends Mima into more madness, and she chases her Pop self, and
I got to mention the animation in this chase scene is absolutely amazing with the blurring effect.
Yeah,
and
I love the way Pop Mima travels. By the way, she's like floating.
Yeah, she skips. Like there's no effort whatsoever. Yeah. It's otherworldly. She darts. It's like she's weightless. She darts in and out of people, in between people, and she just basically she skips along.
Yeah.
Probably 20 or 30 foot bounds at a time, and just
barely touching the ground just with her toes.
Didn't Mima see her skip along some light posts at this point?
Yeah.
Before that?
Way early. One of her first visions of her.
Yeah, when she was arguing with herself, basically. Yeah.
And she chases her down, and obviously she doesn't catch her.
No.
And it cuts again.
This is when she almost gets hit by the truck that Mr. Quote unquote Mr. Me-Mania is driving.
Yes.
And then she wakes up.
Oh, we missed a thing that's very important. Mr. Me-Mania and Pop Mima in his room having a conversation via the internet.
But Pop Mima is there with him.
No. She's actually having a conversation with him via the internet.
I know, but we see her
vision. We see her.
I guess so, yeah.
We see the vision of her that Mima's been seeing.
Yeah.
That Mima's been seeing this Pop version of herself.
I assumed that the other person in question was literally there with him. And he's so unhinged that he sees what he wants to see.
No, he's talking to her via the internet.
Yeah. When he speaks in her voice, it is so creepy.
It really is.
Oh.
He reads back what Mima's saying to him via IMs.
Yeah.
That in her voice to himself. It's very unpleasant.
It is.
And so that's when he tells Pop Mima that he'll get rid of the imposter. So he's convinced that the real Mima is speaking to him through the internet.
Yes.
And somebody is speaking to him through the internet. We don't know who it is. I thought it was Mima at first.
Mima being her pop star self. Yeah,
yes.
Trying to kill off her slutty self, basically.
Yes, I thought that Mima had fractured her personality at this point, and she was literally both of them, both the pop star Mima and herself. Communicating
I thought he might have been imagining the communication.
Yeah, that crossed my mind as well. Yeah.
But no, I was pretty convinced, mostly because of how fucking crazy she'd been acting up until this point.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have surprised me if that's the way that it went.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so now we jump back to where we just were, where she gets hit by a truck driven by Mr. Whatever, Mr.
Mr.
Mimania.
Mimania, yeah.
Mr. Mimania, which
Mister, I'm not creepy at all.
Which also kind of, in my head, further solidified that she was both and communicating with him, because how would she know that he was that after her? But of course she thought he was that after her. She's seeing him everywhere and he's fucking creepy.
Yeah. But so, she gets hit by this truck in the dream, we assume, and she wakes up again in the same position, her bed. Yeah.
And she keeps saying things to Rumi like, "Oh, maybe I got hit by that truck and I'm dead, and this is all a dream."
And Rumi looks at her like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah. Rumi is a rock, man.
Yeah.
She's keeping everybody grounded.
Yeah.
So we get another cut, and this is when your guys' favorite scene comes up, where she's in the hospital. And Nima's in the hospital. And she's being interviewed by the other detective in Double Bind.
Double Bind, yes.
Double Bind, sorry. And she's interviewing her, and she comes out and she goes, "Oh yeah, she's lost it. She thinks she's an actress and a pop idol."
And she was raped in a nightclub, and she's just making all this up in her head to cope. Yeah.
To protect her inner self.
And, it really grabbed my attention at that point.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great scene. It's very well done.
It is. It had me fooled.
Me too.
Completely.
I would genuinely question anybody that said that it didn't fool them at this point in this movie, because it's
only a couple of minutes too, so it slaps you in the face going, guess what? Everything you thought was real isn't real.
Yeah,
and then it goes.
That's a trope in movies that I find overdone, but I didn't feel that way in that moment. I didn't feel that way. I thought 2
minutes later it goes, guess what? Fooled you.
Yeah,
it's only a scene in a movie.
Yeah,
it's that damn VHS distortion again. Yep.
It's so well done. Like I said, I would fight anybody on it. I would think they were lying a little bit. If they said that scene didn't get them, at least for a minute, because it's so well done. And then all of a sudden, the lights go up, everybody's cheering and clapping for her, and goes, "Oh, that's it. It's a wrap. The scene's over." And she could still be crazy. We don't know.
I was wondering at that point whether that, the fact that the lights went up and everything, that was part of the delusion or not.
Yeah. And she's still sitting there in that almost straight jacket. Yeah.
Because it could have been.
Yeah. It could have been, and it would have been very convincing, too.
But no. She leaves set with Rumi and Bob, and, all the congratulations are all taken care of, and Rumi tells her, you should go change. It's time to go home. You go change.
Yeah.
And she goes down into what I can only describe as the bowels of this building to change for some fucking reason.
I guess that's where the locker rooms are, but yeah, it certainly does seem like it's a far cry from civilization at this point.
Yeah, it's oh gosh, it reminds me of that scene in Ju-on, that hallway with nothing but doors and lights, and there's no windows. It's just concrete hallway.
Oh, and Ju-on the Grudge, yeah. Yes, the Japanese version. Yes.
Japanese version, that hallway. That's what it reminds me of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could scream and nobody would hear you unless they were also in that hallway.
Yes, exactly.
And we see Mr. Mimania sauntering down the hallway towards her.
And Mima she doesn't even really register it. She just kind of calls after Rumi.
Yeah, she's out of it.
Yeah.
She's calm, and she sees him, and she goes, "Oh, shit."
Yeah.
He's a little weird. I know him, though, but he's weird.
Yeah.
And then it turns, and he attacks her. And it's a long few minutes of him attacking her and he has a knife, and he says, "You're not Mima. You're an imposter. I'm gonna get rid of you so the real Mima can come back."
Yeah, because she asks him who he is, and he freaks out about that, and goes, "You didn't know I was Mimania, so
Yeah.
how could you be me? How could you be Mima? How could you be real?" Yeah.
Does it happen in the same place that the rape scene took place? I can't remember.
The same set, yeah.
Same set, yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, and he tries and fails once to strip her there. She kicks him, and the second time we watched this, I was like, "Woohoo!" Tiny, because she kicks his ass a little bit at first.
Yeah, and well, he's trying to rape her to death.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's awful.
Essentially revisiting that earlier rape scene in the TV show.
It is, yeah.
In this sense, it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's awful. It is a pretty mean-spirited scene, and when she kicks him, it's hard not to cheer for her a little.
Yeah, it's very satisfying when she kicks him, and then he gets up and chases her and manages to do her again, unfortunately. And he takes off his belt and he's knocked her unconscious and he's strapping her feet together. And then he puts himself in between her legs after he's strapped her feet together. It's just
and then
really,
rips her panties off, and it's awful.
So
yeah,
uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. Like, and she coming to a little bit, and he's still working away trying to get his pants off, whatever the fuck he's trying
which
to
is
do.
which is another callback to the rape scene in the.
And she managed to get her hands on a hammer, and she hits him directly in the temple with this very small, like chisel type hammer.
Yeah, there was a tool belt there because I guess when they were building the set or taking it down, the construction worker left it there. Yeah.
Around.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
Shambles back there, and he is out like a fucking light.
Yeah, I love it when she smacks him in the head with the hammer. There's a great scene.
His realization of
there isn't. He's out. Like I've been knocked unconscious before, and it's kind of like that. You're conscious for a minute, and then everything goes dark.
Were you trying to rape Mima?
Yeah. No, I had a boulder dropped on my head. I'll tell you about it later.
Oh, okay.
Well, that doesn't change the question. Were you trying to rape Mima?
No, it was a fat little Jehovah's Witness boy.
Yes.
Anyways, so she knocks him unconscious. He collapses, and she escapes. And she manages to like pull some tattered, some parts of her clothes back on, and that's when Rumi finds her and goes, "Oh my god, are you okay? You're in shambles. What the fuck happened to you?"
Yeah.
And Mima's like, "I don't know." she's just out of it.
Yeah.
So then we cut, and Mima's back in her room, and she wakes up in bed, and she calls out for Rumi, and Rumi's just puttering away in the kitchen. And Mima gets up, she looks around, and then she looks around some more, and she goes to the window, and this is the first time she's opened these curtains since the beginning of the movie, and she opens them, and it's a completely different scene.
Yeah.
Outside that window from her actual room.
Yeah, she's by the train tracks, and
she goes, "This is not my room." And that's when she turns around and sees a hulking Rumi squashed.
Hold on.
Hulking Mima.
Yes, so sorry.
Isn't there a scene before that where the bodies are in the trunk of the car?
Oh no, yeah, that's no, yeah, not in the trunk of the car. It's interspersed. They're hidden behind the set.
Yeah.
So I guess Rumi had gone back and taken Mimania's body, and we find out that her agent, her male agent, has been killed too.
Yeah, she also killed Bob. She killed Bob and Mr. Mimania and stacked their bodies in a hidden little area beside that set.
Because Miss Anon, you had brought something interesting up when we watched it the second time that I think you're right. Rumi was not expecting Mr. Mimania to do what he did.
No, that was out of character, or that not out of character. That was out of her plans. She didn't actually want to hurt Mima. She wanted.
I don't think so. No,
No,
but
no, no. She wanted to push her into being the pop idol that she was supposed to be again.
yes, I think you're right. Yeah.
And the reason I'm fairly certain of that is because what Rumi says to her is, "Oh, Mr. Mimania, he acted out of turn, so I had
Yeah.
a bit of him. He did something she didn't want him to do." And I imagine it was hurting Mima. I don't think she wanted to hurt Mima up until this point where she becomes Mima. Now she is Mima. She's fractured. Her Rumi's psyche has fractured.
When we the audience first see Rumi as Mima, the in her, because Rumi's a little bit overweight and she's short and stout and yeah, and it's just this odd scene where her thighs are spilling over her knee-high leggings, and
Yeah.
and she's in Mima's original pop star outfit, which is a very short, puffy little tutu, and
ballerina outfit.
yeah, pretty much, and it's just so jarring and
funny.
We a little bit, and we the audience hear Rumi's voice when Rumi is talking, when it's on her face, when the camera is on her face. But when it's from Mima's point of view, Mima hears her voice, her own voice.
Yeah, Mima hears Rumi.
Yeah.
Mima hears Rumi.
Yes.
Rumi hears herself as Mima.
Yeah.
And we, the audience, don't see Rumi except in reflections, which makes everything.
And that's beautifully done too.
It's amazing.
When fake Mima is skipping down the street, and we see the reflection in the windows, and it's Rumi. That is amazing.
And she's just sweating and running like, oh my! It's horrifying too, because it really is. I have goosebumps thinking about it. Yeah, it's very well done.
I think when Rumi killed Mr. Mimania, that's when her fucking psyche fractured.
Yeah, her Mima's agent and Mimania. Yeah.
That was it for her. She completely lost it, and she became Pop Mima. She was Pop Mima. At that point, like, there was no more Rumi, and Mima kept asking her, like, Rumi, what's wrong with you? Why won't you wake up?
Yeah, but we see Rumi pull out the ice pick too, so we find out that it was Rumi all along.
All along, it was Rumi, and she goes. I mean, this is the chase scene between Mima and Rumi is very, very well done, because Rumi manages to follow her, and you would think a woman of Rumi's size would be unable to do some of these.
She's manic at this point.
Yeah, these physical feats shouldn't be possible for her, but she does it anyways because her mind says she can.
Yeah, I like the fact that we see Rumi as Mima's hallucination for most of the chase scene. I like that with the reflection in the glass and everything of the real Rumi.
Well, Mima recognizes her. She knows it's Rumi. She's not hallucinating anymore.
No, I know, but the audience sees it as the hallucination. I like that. It breaks the fourth wall, but not really.
Yeah, we see Rumi the way Rumi sees herself.
Yeah, it's great.
It nails home that level of insanity she's gone. She's just lost.
She is batshit insane.
Yeah, and so she's chasing after Mima, and she manages to stab her in the shoulder in the room before she launches herself across the street to another building.
Yeah, so much blood too.
Poor
Mima.
Yeah, there's a lot of blood. Rumi's chasing her. She loses her ice pick and grabs an umbrella and to stab Mima with the fucking umbrella, which is brutal.
Yeah, she catches up with her, grabs her by the left forearm.
Oh, grabs her by her hair.
Her hair, sorry. It grabs her, yanks her back, and actually stabs her in the side with this umbrella with so much force it goes in. Like, oh.
Imagine being impaled with an umbrella.
Yeah.
Oh. And this is where we get the flashes of Rumi in the windows, because they make it out to the street and Rumi is sweating and panting.
Oh my god, it's amazing. It was so the first time I saw that, even on my first viewing when I hated it, I noticed that and went, whoa.
Yeah. But the image of Rumi sees of herself is just skipping, and
Yep.
she is Mima as
Yeah.
a pop star. She just is in her head.
Yeah, because Mima can't weigh more than 110 pounds soaking wet, and then
God.
here we have Rumi, like,
Probably 230 pounds.
yeah, at least, right? So
In these tiny little high heels, and her feet are just pouring out of them. Like,
yeah,
it's great. It's great. It's great to watch. It's really intense. And then she catches up to Mima, who I think at this point is suffering from a lot of blood loss, and is at the point where she has to face her.
yeah, the blood loss,
Anymore.
sleep deprivation, you name it.
And so she's trying to reason with Rumi, and she's pleading with her.
The way she says, "Why won't you wake up?" is pretty heartbreaking. Actually,
It really is. It really is. And so, Rumi tries to get her again with the umbrella, and breaks this big giant storefront window. And in the struggle, Mima grabs the wig that Rumi is wearing and drops it inside the storefront. And Rumi it comes fucking unglued. Like, so she goes for the wig, reaches in, and impales herself on shards of broken glass.
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah,
it's so
slow too.
Yeah, she's so unhinged. Like, she'd rather die than lose the wig.
Yeah, and then
I don't think she realizes that she's been impaled by glass.
Not for a second, and then no, actually, yeah, I think you're right. Even at the end, I don't think she stumbles along, but it's more.
It's her body.
Excuse me. It's more of just a physical reaction.
Yeah, her body is reacting, not her mind, because she gets out into the street, and that's when the headlights hit her, and she just stands there like, oh, the spotlight's on me.
Yeah,
and she puts her arms out. Yeah,
and Mima, being the sweet, wonderful little angel she is, fucking rescues her.
I thought that was stupid, even on second viewing, and the more and more I think about it, that's her friend.
Yeah, that was like a mother to her, and she's sick. There's something very clearly wrong with that woman. She doesn't deserve to get hit by a truck.
I don't know if I would have done the same thing. I think I would have panicked too much, but I don't think it. In retrospect, now upon like dozens of viewings, a couple dozen, I don't think it's stupid at all. I think it's.
I think most people would.
Yeah, because
think it's in character.
I think so. Yeah, I think it would have been out of character if she just would have been like, "Oh, fuck you, bitch."
Well, I mean, she could have also passed out from the fucking blood loss due to taking an umbrella to the kidneys.
Well, that would have been acceptable as well. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't have blamed Mima if she just let her get hit by a truck.
No, I do think it would have been out of character though.
Yeah.
I think about it this way: if it's somebody that you've known your entire life, and all of a sudden they have an episode that you've never seen them have anything like that before.
Would you just let them die? I don't think so.
No.
But I also think people wouldn't be thinking rational at that point.
No, but I think they would be trying to. I think there would be that kind of survival instinct of, okay, fight or flight. This is my friend, even if they're not actively thinking this, the thought is still there. I would think.
Well, I mean, I knew somebody when I was growing up who had schizophrenia, and he had a schizophrenic episode, and I mean, it's very weird because they're not themselves.
Well, no, and they can't be blamed for it either.
Exactly.
They just can't.
That maybe Mima, that was her mindset, was, holy shit, there's something really fucking wrong with my friend. I need to help her. Yeah. She just impaled herself on a bunch of glass.
Yeah, and she's gonna die, but yeah, like, I need to help her. Yeah, that's good on her, I guess.
Yeah, good for her. And then we get a shot of the two of them bleeding out on the side of the road. That poor truck driver, he had the shit scared out of him.
Yeah, he gets out and is basically like, "Oh God, call an ambulance."
Let's kill these two women. Fuck.
Yeah.
And here's a little bit of trivia. The truck driver, the same truck driver from Eyes of My Mother.
He's just rescuing and killing women all over the place.
Well, I mean, the truck driver didn't kill anybody, but
No.
No, but he almost did.
almost. Yeah, I mean,
You know. Okay, I'll change that.
man, these psychological horror movie characters sure get around, eh?
This truck driver is
He's had a bad run.
Yeah.
He's picking up maimed women on the side of the street all the time. Is that better?
Yeah, there you go. He's a serial saver.
Yeah. So we get a cut to a hospital where Rumi will now spend the rest of her fucking life.
I hope so.
And Mima is watching from, from double-sided glass while Rumi still thinks she's Mima.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor's telling Mima, that she's pretty much gone.
Once in a while, though, Rumi comes back.
Yeah, Rumi comes back once in a while, but not long.
Yeah.
And Mima goes, I've come to terms with the fact that, I'll probably never see her again.
Yeah, is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she walks past a couple of nurses and goes, and the nurses go, "Is that who I think it is? Oh, why would she ever be here?" That actually picked my ass the last time we watched it.
Yeah.
I looked at Master Non and I was like, you can't tell me for a second all the people that are in
know that this happened.
Don't know what happened here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fucking know.
Yeah, pop star found passed out and bleeding out on the side of the highway in downtown Tokyo.
That happens every day in Tokyo.
Well, well, maybe, but
obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, moral of the story: truck drivers are heroes.
Yeah.
That's what I take away from this.
Apparently, yeah.
Never become a pop idol.
Well, it's leading up to his scene. The whole movie was about him.
It's true.
Even though we don't see him. And, it was just leading up to that one event.
Yeah.
And
American Phoenix is in the chat. This movie is for you. Truck drivers are the heroes. It's all about the truck driver at the end of this movie. You should watch it.
When we were mentioning the truck driver, why did I think of American Phoenix? Well, I guess he is a truck driver, but
he shows up too. It's like your ears must have been burning, buddy.
I don't know. Are you Mr. Me-Mania, American Phoenix?
Wait, no, the truck driver at the end was not.
Maybe he was.
He? Yeah.
Oh shit! Well, what is reality? What is real anymore?
You haven't seen Perfect Blue Part 2.
No. Otherwise known as The Eyes of My Mother. All right, we're getting silly now.
Now?
Yeah.
So, Perfect Blue is like 9 out of 10. Watch it. It's very good.
I enjoyed it from about halfway on. I loved it from about halfway on.
I think you need to watch it again, knowing what you know now, and maybe it won't bother you as much.
Twice. I've watched it
have
twice.
you? Okay.
I watched it this morning, actually.
Oh, good.
Better the second time?
Yeah, I do think I enjoyed it more the second time because I knew what was coming. But
yeah,
because the pop music was less obnoxious because it is meant to be. It actually tapers off and disappears towards the end. I'm sure you noticed.
it does. It doesn't play anymore at all.
Yeah.
It's not a factor in the story because Mima's moved on. So
she's broken away from it, and I think.
Once it got into the dreamlike thing, and we didn't know what was real and what wasn't, I loved that. I always love that shit. Well, I love it if it's well done, and it's definitely well done in this case. But yeah, early on, I couldn't get into it. But I do think it's a good movie overall.
Well, I'm
it.
really happy that you gave it a second chance. So that's good.
Yeah, of course. I always try to watch these movies at least twice before reviewing, because movies are different the second time you watch them.
They are, and it's a subjective media too, even more so than video games or novels or comic books. I think film is very subjective, to the point where it can create such a divide that I think more than one viewing is almost it's required. Basically, it's almost
And
necessary to
I-
enjoy a
I've
film
always
to its full potential.
I've always said a sign of a really good movie is one you can watch and enjoy more than once.
Yes,
Because there's lots of
absolutely.
movies I've watched once and I thought that was really good, but then I've watched it a second time and just didn't enjoy it at all.
And there are certain
Um,
movies on that note that I only want to watch once.
Paycheck.
Oh no. Uh,
Paycheck's good.
Paycheck is a good example because the first viewing you don't know what's going to happen, and that's
it's a,
the
I gotta give Paycheck some credit in that at least it's a competent action movie.
The
So,
first time. The second time, it's like, dear fucking God, why am I watching this again?
so I take it we'd all recommend Perfect Blue as
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Um,
And if you are struggling through, say the first 20 or 30 minutes, give it a chance because
yeah,
it
don't
does.
turn it off. Give it a chance.
Yeah.
It'll become less annoying if you're annoyed by it. Do you mind if I talk about the director for just 2 minutes here?
Yeah, go for it.
He Satoshi Kon, he unfortunately passed away from stage 4 pancreatic cancer in 2010. At the age of 46, unfortunately. He was a brilliant writer and storyteller. He worked as an animator and writer in his early days, just for I guess I don't want to use the word basic, but I'm going to just basic anime series. And then his first directing gig was for episode 9 of a TV series, an anime series called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's just an action series. It's kind of neat, but not so great.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just a neat series. And his first movie was Perfect Blue, and he also wrote it. And
Okay.
then he went on a few years later to write, or to be one of the principal writers on, you'll know this movie, Bane, Jinro, The Wolf Brigade.
Oh, yes, I love that.
Yeah, he was one of the main writers on that film.
Yep.
And
I've got
he's
that on
also,
DVD.
yeah, me too. I love that movie. He's a fantastic writer and director. He since went on to direct all movies I love here: Millennium Actress, Tokyo Godfathers, a TV series called Paranoia Agent, a film called Paprika, which is one of the main inspirations for Christopher Nolan's Inception,
Okay.
and a short film called Good Morning, which I haven't seen. But all of his films, as far as I know, deal with the line between reality and dreams. Even the Wolf Brigade in the writing, I mean, it's not very explicit, and it's been years since I've seen that movie, but the characters struggle with coming to terms with the truth of the man she loves, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, it really is, and it's very explicitly so, I think.
But with heavily armored cops and terrorists
in sewers, yes.
in sewers.
Yeah.
You
But
know
Millennium Actress, I actually wish in retrospect that I would have thought a little bit more about this and paired this movie with Paprika or Millennium Actress, because they're both animated films by the same director, and they just I don't even want to talk too much about them. I might want to later on in another episode.
Well, you could do a double with both of them.
I think I might, because they're absolutely amazing, and all of his work, for the most part, deals with that line between dreams and reality, and he just does it so well. And I think his inspiration, he has inspired so many mainstream, very talented directors to do very great work. He inspired The Matrix, for Pete's sake. Like, most of Darren Aronofsky's work, if it wasn't for the film Perfect Blue, most of his work probably wouldn't exist, at least not in the form it does now. Same with Christopher Nolan, like Inception, which is arguably his most successful film financially, even more than the Batman films. It wouldn't exist without Paprika. It just wouldn't. So he was very, very influential, and it's a shame that he died so young.
All these are good to do.
Yeah, because I think he would be only 55 years old right now on this day, and yeah, it's a shame, and I'm glad that he gave us what he did, because I think film in general, just as a medium, is better for him.
Yeah, he helped shape a lot of things there.
He did. He really did. So yeah, I definitely recommend the movie and all of his work, really. So there you have it.
Episode 12, it's my turn again. My turn again. We'll be doing The Others and The Last Will and Testament of Rosalind Lee.
Oh, I love both of those films.
They are both haunted house. Very haunted
Yeah,
house.
I recently watched Last Will and Testament.
That's so
I quite enjoyed it. Yeah,
I'm not shooting too much about it. We'll save it for next episode.
No, I'm not going to go into it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So we'll hopefully we'll see you in a.
Oh, well, we're going already.
Yeah.
No, we can hang out for a few more minutes.
We can have a little bit of a chat. I was going to say I saw Alita Battle Angel.
Oh, did you? What did you think? I want to see it.
Good.
I want to. Good. Yeah. I'm really, that's been, I'm sure you know, Bane, that's been in production hell for like 20 years now. No exaggeration.
Yeah, a lot of movies go through that.
Yeah, James Cameron, he wanted to direct. He wanted to. Oh yeah. Oh, don't get me started. We talk about that every episode. But no, James Cameron, he wanted to direct Battle Angel Alita, as it's known in Japan, not Alita Battle Angel. It's strange. For 20 years now, and he finally landed the executive producer role. And just from the trailers I've seen, it looks pretty faithful. It looks like a pretty good adaptation, and it looks like a pretty amazing science fiction movie, actually.
Yeah, I thought it looked great. The large eyes freaked me out a little bit.
Well, it's a little strange, but I've grown to accept them. I mean,
same here.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd highly like to recommend is Umbrella Academy on Netflix.
Umbrella Academy. What is that?
Yeah,
elaborate a little?
It's based on a comic book, which I've never read, so I went into it totally blind. The only thing I knew it was based on a comic, but I'd never read the comic and knew nothing about it. So it starts off with an event where all around the world there are women who suddenly become pregnant and give birth in a couple of minutes.
Weird. Wow.
Yeah, and some supernatural or unknown event, and this rich adventurer goes around and adopts, I think it's 5 or 6 of them, I can't remember, and then he raises them in an academy. And it picks up when they're adults and they've all gone their own way, and the professor who adopted them all dies, and they all come back together. And yeah, so there's lots of conflict, and they're all trying to figure out what happened. It's interesting. It's very good.
Oh yeah, is this a series or a film? I missed that.
It's a series. It's,
okay.
I think 10 parts. So yeah.
Just like a little a little bit more than a mini series. Yep.
Yeah, I think it was on Netflix. So I binged it a couple of weeks ago, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And yeah, it's very good. I really enjoyed it. I haven't seen Captain Marvel though.
Well, don't get us started on that.
Yeah. Has anyone talked about that?
I hear that. I hear there's this controversial situation going on. With
I don't know if anyone's talked about it yet on YouTube. Yeah. We might be the first ones. So
yeah, I think giving the movie the oh yeah. Well, there you have it. Captain Marvel. We're the first ones to mention it in all of the internet.
Yep.
I want to die.
Don't worry, we won't talk about it.
I'm so fucking tired of politics in my medias. Get out!
I know, we're just teasing.
I have noticed though, an increasing number of TV shows are using terms like mansplaining.
They are.
Oh.
You know,
It's-
okay, this is going to sound weird. You know what TV show I was really looking forward to? This might
What?
shock you, but I was actually looking forward to it. I don't even know the full name of it anymore, but it's the Sabrina the Teenage Witch adaptation. I was actually I was really looking forward to that. I quite enjoyed the new comic books from about a decade ago.
Oh, you're the one that read them.
Yeah, I'm the only one. No, I actually liked them. They were very. It's just like Archie, Afterlife with Archie, with the
They take,
zombies
like,
and everything. It was actually a pretty good read, but they just fucked it all up with all of this ridiculous mansplaining, and it's just. Oh, I don't want to get into it too much. We're kind of ruining the show here, I think. But
identity politics don't belong in media. Get out.
yeah.
Not fun anymore.
I don't mind a movie specifically about a particular political topic. Right?
No, me neither.
But if it's a movie which really is focused on something else and then you shoehorn in a particular thing, then that's what I have an issue.
At least have the guts to make it your primary focus, and don't just shoehorn it in. If you're going to make it your primary focus, so be it. That's stupid. But do it and do it well. Even if it's propaganda, at least do it well.
You can have propaganda. It just has to be written and acted well. They just no, the can of worms you've opened. Say goodnight.
I was just going to say, if Tom Cruise want to make a movie about Scientology, right? That would be fine. I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Well, sure, he should be able to. So
yeah, but if the next Mission Impossible movie constantly referred to thetans and things like that, every 10 minutes.
Oh, it would be ridiculous. It
would drive me nuts.
It would be ridiculous and pointless and stupid. So.
Also, stop giving the what you consider the unfortunate, the fucking leftovers, and gender bending and race bending existing characters. Write new ones, new and compelling and good characters. You don't have to give the fucking scraps to everybody else.
Or use the minority characters, I guess, for lack of a politically correct term. Use the ones that already exist.
Yes,
because they always have. They have for black characters in comic books are not new. Same with female heroes. They're not new. Just use the ones we already have.
That's the thing when Black Panther came out.
And make new ones.
And Black Panther wasn't a bad movie, right? It was a good movie. But there's a lot of people going on about, it's the first black superhero in a movie. I'm thinking, well, we had Blade 20 years ago.
Well, if you say that, you're racist, though. Don't say that.
And technically, a year before that, we had Spawn.
We did.
Who's a black character?
We did. And why does nobody mention Shaft? Come on now. Shaft.
He's technically not a superhero, but
it's Shaft. Come on, Shaft. Come on now.
Honestly, I keep coming back to one thing in particular because again, it just picks my ass. Zelda games. Yeah. They are named after her. Why wouldn't you give her own game instead of trying to gender bend Link?
I would have no problem with Zelda getting her own game. That'd be awesome.
She's a fucking badass. She's been a badass in many of the games for a long time. She could definitely do her own game. But no, they just want to cut off Link's penis for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the game?
They just want to cut off Link's fucking penis for some reason.
Cut off Link's penis. That's the whole goal of the game. It's a mobile app.
Seriously, though, Zelda deserves her own game. And if you want to pander to women, stop giving them scraps left over from male characters. It's insulting.
Yeah, no shit.
Anyways, you guys dragged me into that. Oh, fuck.
I guess we're not getting free tickets to Captain Marvel now, but...
No.
Probably not.
It's a shame. You fucked
We'll chill if you give us free tickets. No, we won't.
Yeah, I'll
No.
say it's good if you give me tickets. I won't really, but please. Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.
We'll see you next time.
Hopefully.